Hello there, everybody. How are we all? I'm very well, I thank you for asking. Tariffs. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't think I'll talk much about the tariffs today. Other than to just say Tesla stock has lost over 10% today. A truly masterful gambit, sir. He's a thinky big brain genius boy. He's definitely going to get us to Mars. Fucking hell. What a time to be alive. Anyway. Let us not dwell on Yankoid befuddlement, economic gibberish, shall we? Yes, you join me for an auspicious occasion. Actually, no, it's not auspicious. What am I talking about? Honestly, I've lost the plot already. I'm a minute in to talking, and I've already lost the fucking plot. Why are you watching this? I genuinely have to ask. There are better streamers than this. There are ones that can string entire sentences together. They can put whole sentences together and like cogent ideas. It's mad. Although I was on form yesterday. I will admit I was pretty good yesterday. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'm just here to flirt with your audience. That's fair enough. They are a very sexy and, let's be honest, quite slutty group. Yes. Anyway. Happy Fat Cock Friday to all who celebrate. Well, as you know, we are firmly ensconced in the land of Fat Cock. Not Britain, I mean, like, metaphorically we are. Naturally. Talking of fat cocks, you can hit the follow button. It's not remotely a segue, doesn't matter. You can hit the follow button if you're on Twitch. Hello. You can subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can link that to your account, to your Twitch account, and you get one free subscription on Twitch every month, which you can use to give me $5 of Jeff Bezos' entirely unearned wealth. You can also gift subs to the community. You can do bits messages. 200 bitty bits or more get you a text to speech. Whatever that was. Presumably that was Lord Frietus getting in early with a very rude message which the filter filtered out because it had something disturbingly sexual in it. I don't know. If they wish to repeat it in the chat, I will read it out for them. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below. It was Lord Frietus. I know you too well, friend. Anyway. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below, as Lord Frietus just did. Albeit in terms of the text-to-speech unsuccessfully. But there we go. $2 or more there, and a relatively clean message will get you a text-to-speech. What was your message, Aleph? What did you say? It probably involved the words despunkify at some point, I imagine. That is your raison d'etre, to use your own language. Anyway. You can also help me out on Patreon and PayPal. I've got Discord, Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, probably something else. Dunno. If you're on YouTube, hello YouTube, you can subscribe for free, you can hit the like button for free. You can give me 99 pence of your own hard-earned casherino in the form of a membership. You can also give memberships to the community, and you can do super chats, which I will read out.
I don't want to do this anymore!
Oh, fucking hell. I have to change that. It's fucking mental. Hope you're well, Kev. Well, thank you, Carl. I am much the better for your presence. Thank you very much. Following since 19 seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay.
We got him! Victory is ours!
Thank you, Danish Minecraft server. Welcome to the Kevolution, friend. Tits or ass? See, Danish Minecraft server, you do raise an important political point there, and I'm gonna have to say, and this is not a cop out, this is a genuine answer.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I reject your paradigm. Okay, I don't think you have to choose between tits and ass. Tits are nice, ass is nice. Tits and ass together, not literally, not like some sort of fucking Cronenberg situation.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Fucking leave me alone. Anyway, tits and ass are awesome. I don't feel like you have to choose between the two. I reject your false dichotomy. Thank you, Andreas, with £2. Oh no, $2 even. Who says, "Please, Kev, be safe out there in Rattingham." Yes, the super rats are here, and they're possibly here to stay. They may take over. I, for one, welcome our vermin overlord. And hello there, Tess, who says, "Good evening from YouTube." Deliberate spelling mistake or not? I don't know, but I appreciate you nonetheless, friends. Welcome in one and all. Contortionists can do both at the same time. Oh, we're still on tits and ass in the chat. Okay. No tits and ass is better than tits and no ass. I don't know what you mean, Danish Minecraft server, but I feel like you might get on well here. We're all perverts as well. It's lovely. I hope the penguins are going to invade the Cayman Islands. I hope so too. Although I hope the humans do that as well. That would be nice. But it is what it is, friends. It is what it is. Yes. So we've got like an odd mixture of things for tonight's show. A genuinely odd mixture of weird. I mean, not even really weird stories. I don't even know how to describe them. Some good news, some bad news, and then some Sam Seder, which is always good news. You know. Where's the fucking article I was looking for? There we go. Fuck me dead. Right. No, I don't want to sign into my BBC fucking account, you pricks. Fuck off. God almighty, I'm fucking... I hate the world. Right. So. Yes. Hello there, everybody. Hello. We're gonna do some content now. Okay. Having done whatever that was as an intro, we're now doing content. Some good news, albeit about a terrible story, and content warning, discussions of rape and sexual assault upcoming. Yeah, it's one of those days. Russell Brand, the supposedly comedian, although I never found him particularly funny, has been charged with rape and sexual assault, which is good, because he allegedly is a rapist and sexual assaulter. Allegedly. For legal reasons, we have to say allegedly. Innocent until proven guilty, etc., etc. Russell Brand has been charged with rape, indecent assault and sexual assault between 1999 and 2005. So, like, as slow as the wheels of justice are, they're rarely slower than this. The first of these incidents took place over a quarter of a century ago. Let that just sink in. And not just that, but it brings up, as mentioned in the next stanza, or the one after that, I suppose, that this is only because there was a TV documentary about this, right? There's a TV documentary about how he may or may not have committed rape and sexual assault, again for legal reasons. And that's the only reason the police even bothered investigating him, even though he'd been like, the police had been contacted about this behaviour before. It wasn't until it was on TV that it mattered. And given that this week the Prime Minister has brought into Downing Street for a meeting the creators of the show Adolescence, which is a show about a young boy goes off the rails and gets involved in toxic masculinity and commits crimes and stuff. It's It's a story that's doing the rounds. It's a thing, right? And the fact that and he's now going to force schools to show adolescents in schools as part of learning or something. Anyway, it's TV inspired government basically, and the fact that the post office scandal was only really brought to any kind of resolution because, again, there was a documentary done on it, which just goes to show you, in order to get anything done in this country, you have to make a TV show about it. Maybe we need to make a TV show about feeding children or not fucking over the disabled. I don't know. Fucking joke of a country, man. The charges relate to 4 separate women. Brand has been interviewed multiple times by police since an investigation by the Sunday Times, The Times and Channel 4's Dispatches, which is the TV show in question, in September 2023, revealed multiple serious allegations against him. In a new video on X this afternoon, Brand said, "What I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity." That's not what everyone else involved in this story claims, mate. And we'll get to that video in a second, because it is... boy, howdy is it a doozy. The Force, so that's the Metropolitan Police, who are very fond of protecting rapists, so, you know, this is a bit of a turn-up for the books, said it alleged that in 1999 a woman was raped in the Bournemouth area. In 2001 a woman was indecently assaulted in the Westminster area of London. In 2004 a woman was orally raped and sexually assaulted in the Westminster area of London. And between 2004 and 2005 a woman was sexually assaulted in the Westminster area of London. Brand has been told to appear at Westminster Magistrate Court on May the 2nd and is believed to be in the United States. And we might actually need to extradite him, which would be interesting if he refuses to come of his own volition. But there we go. Yeah, I have to say that I do believe the accusers in this situation. I don't think, given Brand's well-trodden path journey now, from being discovered to be a rapist, being outed as a rapist, and then finding Jeebus. Oh, he's found the Lord! And turned into a far-right grifter who's been photographed with various members of the Trump ensemble. Interesting, that, isn't it? Why rapists always turn up amongst the Trump supporter base. Fantastic, isn't it? On that point, actually, Reform UK. Nigel Farage, Trump's key arse-licker, one of their candidates has been suspended after tweeting in favour of Jimmy Savile. Yeah, Reform UK candidate has been suspended from the party after posts on social media reveal his support for serial sex abuser Jimmy Savile. Describing Jimmy Savile in 2022 as a working class hero. Jimmy Savile was one of the most prolific pederasts in the history of this nation. But you know, that's just reform for you, I guess. Anyway, on to what Brand had to say. Mercy me, is this bad? Where are we? Did I not bookmark this? That's very annoying if I didn't bookmark this. I must have done. Oh, good lord. Okay. Give me the fucking video. Where is he? Is he being hidden by the algorithm? I don't know. Here we go. I mean, get ready for this, because this is really quite something.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support.
There are a lot of very pro-rape people on that platform, yeah, that is true.
We're very fortunate, in a way, to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you...
Okay, Russell, You're correct in saying that the levels of distrust in the government have rarely, if ever, been higher. But what I will say is that the conspiracy theory you're twirling for us here, the narrative you're trying to spin, suggests that the British government saw you as a threat and felt that you needed to be taken down when you do shows on Rumble. You do shows on Rumble, mate. No one gives a fuck what you have to say. You're not a threat. Like, imagine that. There's a new world order. The WEF, George Soros, fucking Charles... not Charles Schultz. What's his name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're all fucking, billionaire people, whatever. Controlling the world. And they think, oh, the guy from Get Him to the Greek needs to be taken down a peg. Oh no, the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall is the biggest threat we have. Stick a rape claim on him. The fuck are you talking about? Why would they fucking bother? Like, they've let Alex Jones go for years and years. Charles Schwab was the guy I was trying to think of. Charles Schultz is the Peanuts comic strip guy. Slightly different character. Although maybe Peanuts was a fucking psyop from the start. Who knows? Anyway,
that are watching this in the UK, how do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile?
Well, I don't feel great about it. Is the case, Russell? You're correct in a completely disconnected way. You're absolutely correct. The British legal system is not great right now, and I personally do not feel great towards it. That doesn't change, for a second, the fact that you are allegedly a serial rapist. That doesn't change anything.
Cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted. How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel?
It's interesting that that's the example you use, because you're trying to dog whistle to your far right audience now because you're a grifter, and secondly, that case has been prosecuted and is being prosecuted. Like, whatever you think about the failings of like Prevent or the counter-terrorism investigation and all the rest of it, whatever you think of that, you can't argue that justice isn't being done for the victims there, because the perpetrator of that crime was immediately arrested and is being prosecuted. It's like that case in America where the girl was killed by an illegal immigrant, whatever. And they're like, she didn't get justice. Well, yes, she did. Her murderer was tried and put in jail. That's what happens. The Southport murderer is being tried right now. It's happening. What do you mean, how it was handled? It was handled quite well from the point that it actually happened. Again, we can talk about the pre-crime policing and social services and all the rest of it, but once the crime has taken place, the legal system dealt with it pretty well, actually. You and your ilk stirring up a race pogrom against migrants probably wasn't helpful in that.
About the government of Keir Starmer. Now that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys.
Again, this is an incredibly silly misnomer. The idea that Keir Starmer is responsible for this. He's not. He's the Prime Minister. He doesn't get involved in individual fucking prosecutions. Even when he was head of the Crown Prosecution Service, he rarely dealt individually with crimes. Because that's not what that position involves really either. It's largely an administrative, overarching thing. You don't necessarily delve into individual cases all that often. Which is why it's silly to blame him for the Jimmy Savile thing. Although you can blame him for not trying to extradite Andrew Tate, because he's now the head of government that should have done that. Anyway. Yeah, so Keir Starmer isn't even to blame for this. And I despise Keir Starmer with a burning passion. But I'm not going to criticise him something that he isn't guilty of. your prosecution, you're being charged with these crimes, isn't his fault or to his benefit. It's literally nothing to do with him. It's a completely separate body within the government. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Also, this investigation, when you say the government of Keir Starmer, this has been going on since 2023. This was started, this investigation, under the Conservative government of Rashid Sunak, as I'm going to continue to call him, even though he's just a random backbencher now. So it's not even the Labour Party, what is coming for you?
That when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, with just about a shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool.
Your human shields aren't even in the shot. See, at least Elon Musk brings his human shield child onto the camera with him. Whereas he's going, oh, my human shield's just over there. Trust me, they love me. They're just out of screen, honest. Cool.
Man, I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all...
Is that how the justice system is supposed to work? I mean, look, Judge, Your Honour, I know you've got all of this evidence which suggests I might have committed these crimes, but hopefully you can tell by looking into my eyes that I'm actually entirely innocent. And he goes, you know what, you do have innocent-looking eyes. Boom, not guilty. The fuck what are you doing? Like, you can't say, how do you feel about how the justice system handles these cases, and then go, look into my eyes, you can tell I'm innocent. What kind of legal system is that, you bellend? What about the Southport killer? Gets onto the stand and goes, Judge, I know we've got all of these eyewitnesses and all of the DNA evidence and the fact that I'm obviously guilty as fuck, but look into my eyes. Can't you tell I'm innocent? You fucking ring piece.
All of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free, and we will be continuing to discuss this matter. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord, indeed. I mean, as scummy non-addressals of the issue go, that's really up there. That's really up there, man. To try and use vague allusions to conspiracy and to try and use your own kid and or children and wife off screen as your little human shield, and to then use the fucking dead bodies of the children in Southport to try and muddy the waters for you, to try and use their fucking murders. Well, technically he's not been convicted yet, but like their deaths, let's just say, right? Again, innocent until proven guilty and all of that, right? To use the deaths of those children for your fucking defence. You're an even bigger piece of garbage than I thought you were. And I didn't think that was possible. I thought I'd already come to a final conclusion in my assessment of you as a person, Russell, and yet you've managed to somehow lower your own standards even... you've not scraped the bottom of the barrel. You've drilled through the barrel and are now tunnelling through the earth like a fucking mole. Ay, ay, ay. What a piece of shit. Is he facing criminal... Yeah, if you've just come in, yes, he's facing criminal... 4 criminal charges. Of rape and sexual assault. And we'll wait and see what happens with that. As he said, he will get his day in court, as indeed every person should. I'm not entirely sure what his defence will actually be, other than trying to make it a he said, she said, because that's always difficult to prove in court. I suspect that's why he'll go, because he's a scumbag. Anyway, I'll keep you updated on that particular cesspit. Talking of cesspits, but in a very literal sense now, Birmingham! My own hometown. The city I've lived in virtually all of my life. The city I love. And hate. But mostly love. And you might think that's talking the city down. It isn't. Trust me. I have one of the more positive views of the city from the fine denizens of this place. Right. Yes, so updates on the Birmingham refuse collection strikes that have been going on for damn near a month now. They've been going on over 3.5 weeks or something. Things are starting to get very bad. Very bad. Last time we talked about this a couple of days ago, the local government had just declared a major incident, which allows them to potentially bring in scab labour from council districts in other areas in the local vicinity, and potentially opens up the way for the national government to potentially use some of their resources, i.e. like the army, perhaps, to clear the streets if it becomes a major situation. But it's becoming a major situation, unfortunately. And I'm beginning to blame the council more and more for this. There's a kind of diffuse set of targets for the anger of the people of the city right now. A lot of people have blame for the local council. A lot of people have blame for the unions and the bin workers. Some people have anger towards the national government. And so it's not defined to one point. But it seems the council are getting more and more of the hatred for this because they're being intransigent and uncooperative. And we'll get to that in a second. But it's starting to get very, very bad. As of 2 days ago, it was suggested that there was about 17,000 tonnes of rubbish. Now, considering we're a city of over 1 million people, in the 2 days since then, it will only have added significantly more thousands of tonnes of rubbish, because every day in the city, more and more refuse is created. That is human life, especially in an urban setting. The council have used what scant refuse collection forces they have outside of those who are on strike to set up mobile waste collection sites, which have caused absolute fucking chaos, because the entire city has refuse it needs to get rid of. And so naturally it became a sort of free-for-all, and wherever they were setting these places up, if people couldn't get to them because they had to wait for fucking hours in mile-long queues, they were just using some local open space to fly tip. To do mass fly tipping. Because what else were they going to do? We haven't got all fucking day. And the super rats. Yes, the super rats are making their presence known. Where are we? Oh, fuck this. The fucking Tories trying to jump on this like it wasn't them that cut back the council block grants to the fucking bone over the course of the last 20 years. Pricks. Here we go. William Timms, a pest controller in Birmingham. When he says pest controller, he doesn't mean Tories on this occasion. He's talking about the super rats. William Timms, a pest controller in Birmingham, has said that since the strikes had begun, this had been his busiest he had ever been. He said, quote, "Calls have been up by 60%. I actually pulled out a rat from a trap 2 weeks ago that was 22 inches in length." 22 inches in length. That's 2 feet long. Nearly. That's nearly 2 feet long. Just shy of 2 feet. A third of a height of a fully grown human. That's a fucking big rat, man. What the fuck? We've got these heckin' chonkers. These absolute fucking units strolling about the place. Fucking hell. He continued, Mr. Timms. In a perfect habitat, which which is what they are in at the moment, they give birth every 3 weeks. That's 6 to 12 pups per female, so we're going to be absolutely inundated. Mr. Tim said if all the rubbish was collected, the pest issue would still linger, with the rodents likely to start nesting in residents' homes or cars. He called the piles of rubbish a 24-hour banquet and added, quote, "They have all the protein there, so they're getting bigger. They're the size of small kittens." I'll be honest with you, 22 inches is bigger than a small kitten. That's like a reasonably sized cat. We don't have rats anymore. We have cat rats. Super cat rats. Amazing. Anyway. Aside from that, last time we left off, the government, the national government that is, and again in this instance both the national and local government are Labour controlled. That's an important factoid to bear in mind. Had essentially shit on the workers. Completely shit on them and backed the Labour councils' essentially lack of effort in trying to resolve this issue. And so it brings us to Sharon Graham, the person you see on the screen there, who is the General Secretary of the Unite Union, the country's largest trade union, who are the trade union at the heart of the dispute with the local council and who are, undergoing the strike with the refuse collectors. She had some interesting things to say. Oh, Thuria, I've seen some of the giant rats. I don't think I've seen one that's 2 feet long, but I've seen some massive ass rats. That's just in this local area. Like, in the city centre, God knows how bad it is. Awful. Fucking awful situation. Anyway. Sharon Graham, like I say, General Secretary of the Trade Union Unite, had some interesting things to say, but bear in mind that this is an affiliated trade union. This is a trade union that gives money to the Labour Party. More on that in a bit. She put out a little thread, which I think would be interesting to go through. Response to 10 Downing Street on the Birmingham bins. It is not surprising that many workers in Britain question the @Labour Party and @GovUK, so that's the government's account, commitment to the working people, when it issues a statement clearly blaming bin workers in a dispute not of their making. The bottom line about this dispute is that these workers woke up one morning to be told that they would be taking up to an £8,000 pay cut. They are being made to pay the price for austerity and bad decisions by Birmingham City Council. Now, that is true to an extent. One thing I will say is that this is why Twitter is not necessarily the best place to explain this stuff, because you have to go into a lot more detail than 240 characters will necessarily allow. But the council of various stripes, mostly Labour over the last 50 to 60 years, but occasionally Conservative, and in the 2000s there was a Conservative and Lib Dem coalition, which they didn't like to talk about, but that's by the by. Underpaid women, and so there was an equal pay claim, which cost a hell of a lot of money to the taxpayers now. So essentially, the malfeasance of city councils over the course of the last few decades is being paid for now. Both Tory and Labour governments now have failed to offer any real financial assistance to Birmingham in dealing with this situation, and have essentially allowed it to go effectively bankrupt. And so it's had to sell off libraries, land, all sorts of things in order to try and make up the massive shortfall. So when Sharon here says bad decisions and austerity, that is partly true. But you've got to bear in mind the difficult situation that the current council have found themselves in because of previous councils. It's not just today's council that are to blame for this. And of course, the Tory party over the last 17 years have consistently slashed the block grant, which is the amount of money the national government give to the local government in order to fulfil the services they need to, right? It's how it's sort of that money is distributed to the local council areas. And Birmingham got fucked big time by the Tories. Because of generally they were cutting council budgets across the country, but also because we're a heavily Labour area and not a Tory area, we got hurt extra hard. So even though the current council are to blame for the situation that they can control today, the base from which Birmingham is working from on a financial level is so destroyed by the years of Tory austerity that we were in no position to have ever dealt with this kind of financial blow. Had we been on a level playing field, a level footing, as we had been historically, we would have been in a much better situation to handle this. So it's also down to Tory governance as well, lest we forget. Unite the Union has already agreed major changes with the removal of job and knock and shift pay last year. And in Unite's current proposal, there are no equal pay issues. That's important, because sometimes the council like to lie about things like that. This authority is determined to impose cuts on workers at any cost and move the goalposts again. Unite's team of decision makers have been in negotiations in good faith for weeks. The leaders of the council have been missing in action and missing from talks. Now, this next sentence, if this is true, honestly, the local council need to all fucking resign en masse. The local council need to be done away with, because the people of this city are fucking suffering. The council are only scheduling meetings once a week. So, every single day of the week, this situation is getting worse. Every single day of the week, taxpayers are paying for the council to fucking sit there and do fuck all about this problem. We are paying our local fucking council tax to not have our fucking bins collected. A council tax which has been massively increased by government fucking malfeasance and say-so from London. We didn't even get a fucking plebiscite on that. It was just allowed to fucking happen. Yay, local democracy. Yay, devolution of powers. And the council only want to do one fucking meeting a week about this. No. That's not acceptable. You get around a fucking table every fucking day. Monday through to Sunday. And you know what? If you can't agree on anything, sit there and talk about the fucking weather. Sit there and talk about the local fucking football. Sit there and talk about what you had for fucking dinner last week. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. Sit there and talk until you come to some fucking agreement on this. It's not acceptable. It's absolutely ridiculous just to have one fucking meeting a week. You feckless bastards. Should be fucking fired. United said it is ready to negotiate any time and every day. Exactly. That's the exact right approach to it. The only way you can reach agreement is if you talk. You might not. It might not still come to fruition. But if you don't meet, you can't reach an agreement. And this can never end. The government UK is going to have to wake up and smell the coffee that they are part of this dispute, as the commissioners report directly to them, and they owe the £3.9 billion debt to the council. If government were really concerned about the residents of Birmingham, they would get the decision makers in a room, of which they are clearly one, to ensure that Unite's solutions to the table were adopted. Yet again, workers and communities pay the price for government inaction. And that is true. The Central Labour Party is happy to enforce its will on the Scottish Labour Party, on the Welsh Labour Party, to turn them into more right-wing shithouses, naturally. But when it comes to Birmingham City Council, they're not even prepared to put enough pressure on them to get them to go into the fucking room and talk. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. Keir Starmer is genuinely one of the most useless people that's ever occupied that office. He's an absolute fucking waster. What good is he? He's a Labour Prime Minister who could try and make a Labour council do anything, and they're not even going into the fucking room to talk. And this brings me ultimately to one of the cruxes that I wanted to bring this up about. Sharon Graham. I don't wish to attack you particularly, because I don't think you're necessarily a bad person. And I don't want this to be about you being the problem, because I don't think you are. I think it's the Labour Party that's the problem. It's Keir Starmer and Morgan McSweeney's Labour Together, New Labour, Shithouse Labour Party that are the problem. But I feel like I have to try and address you personally. I don't assume you're even watching the show. Why would you? You've got a life, right? But I'm going to do this, at least for the bit. Sharon, you are the General Secretary of an affiliated trade union. That means that you are affiliated to the Labour Party. You pay money to the Labour Party. What good is that if you can't even get a Labour government and a Labour council together to even force the council to talk to you?
I don't want to do this anymore.
I'll try and remember to cut that bit out in the YouTube if I remember, because I'm going to put this bit up on YouTube anyway. What good is it, Sharon, for you to give money to the Labour Party so that the government, Labour government, and the council, a Labour council, won't even talk to you, let alone negotiate or give you any kind of vaguely preferential treatment? They won't even talk to you. They literally won't even speak to you more than one day a week. It doesn't seem like you have much sway over them. It doesn't seem like they take your money for anything other than granted. So, I beseech you, disaffiliate. For the love of God. Why are you remaining in what effectively, in a political sense, amounts to an abusive relationship? You give them money and they spit in your fucking face. You literally gave last year over £500,000 to Labour MPs. Now, most of those I've got no problem with. They're the more left-wing ones, right? For the most part. Although there are some interesting ones in there that I was looking through earlier. One of them is Nick Thomas Simons, the Unite Party gave £5,000 to, who is now the Paymaster General, which is a little ironic, I feel, given that this is a pay dispute mostly. And you gave £10,000 to Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister. Now again, she's by no means the worst of the Labour MPs, but she's the Deputy Prime Minister of the government that's fucking your members. You'd say so here, right here, in this thread. The government are not only not helping your members, they're actively hurting your members and blaming your members for the pain that they are inflicting upon them. Why are you still affiliated to them? This is like Stockholm Syndrome or something. This is madness. This needs to stop. The only way they can ever learn is if you cut off their funding. Or at the very least, if you publicly threaten to do that, that might force them to get round the table with you. But I would argue you need to be bolder than that and disaffiliate. Because the Labour Party under Keir Starmer have shown themselves for what they are. When they're not fucking over your members, they're shitting on the average worker. They're trying to freeze fucking old age pensioners. They're trying to eviscerate the disabled. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Please, for the love of God, allow the union movement to grow a backbone, as it used to have, and disaffiliate from these Tories, because that's what they are. The modern Labour Party is the Conservative Party. In some respects, they're more reform than reform. So use the leverage you have and tell the Keir Starmer Politburo to do one. Because they're not helping your members, so why should you help them? and seen. I'm glad I got that off my chest. It's been building. It's been building up. Been bubbling. Thank you, XYZ, or Z if you're American. Although you're paying in pounds, so presumably not. Kev, I love you, but not in a parasocial way. What, you'd love me in a social way? Do you know me? Are you a friend of mine and you're just doing this in disguise? That would be weird. Anyway. Live from Birmingham, what we got? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is just around the corner. The battle rats. I noticed Trump didn't put any tariffs on the rats, did he? He's going after the penguins. Oh yeah. I'm a member of Unite. Each member chooses to affiliate with Labour. We get asked when we choose to sign up if we want to be part of your dues. I don't believe Sharon Graham can choose to do without ballot. No, that's true. She can't do it without ballot. That is absolutely correct. I don't for a second deny that. It is because the thing is, as much as the Tories like to attack the trade unions are way more democratic than virtually any other institution in the nation. Yes, at their conferences they take votes on things like affiliation and disaffiliation. Yeah. But as the General Secretary, her calling for disaffiliation would pull a lot of weight. It certainly would be very difficult for them to disaffiliate, I think, if she, as the General Secretary, said otherwise. Not that there's some sort of dictatorship taking place, but people generally don't like to, not necessarily rock the boat, but just, you know, be seen as wreckers, or even to act as wreckers. People don't like that. So if the leadership, which is, by the way, if the leadership which is elected by the members say a certain thing, then generally the membership will go with that. Generally, that seems like spam, non-binary. You've posted that several times, but thank you. Well, Lee, it's fine. It's not a problem. I assumed it was a mistake rather than deliberate spamoidness. Anyway, yes. I've said my piece. And, yeah, I'll clip that and put that on YouTube, I think. Now, don't forget, everybody. Do not forget, please, that much like striking workers, I need money. Because I am also poor. And suffering from super rats. So, you know, you can give me money in the form of bits and sobs and subscriptions and memberships. These are things you can do. God bless you. Did Lord Fruitus get back to me about what his message was earlier? If so, I completely missed it. If you want to tweet it, not tweet it. If you want to type it out again, I'll read it for you. You did? Well, I didn't see it. So you might want to do that again. We watch you because you are a delightful person, but also the dick jokes despunkify. Yeah, you can't put dick. You can't put dick, Lord Fruitus. The filter doesn't like dick. It's all about the minge. Anyway. Oh no, Sam Seder. What a fucking nightmare. So we've done serious stuff there. We've done, what, about 50 minutes of serious content? I feel like that's enough of that nonsense. Now we need to get onto some slop. Sam Seder went on the Patrick Bet-Davis podcast, and there were some spicy moments, so let's take a look. Oh.
Adam, what's your point? The future... thinking it's probably going to be DeSantis or it's going to be somebody else.
Come on now, get to Sam Seder. Here we go, right.
done in Washington, D.C., 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say this should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston.
Wow.
They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans.
Well, except when it comes to Israel or something. Because, like, Cory Booker literally did that whole, oh, I'm going to stand here and break the record, and then voted to send more bombs for genocide. Yippee!
Get up to that stage and fight, and right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply not doing so, and that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats.
Rob, if you want to pause that. Sam, what happened? What happened to the Democratic Party?
Well, I should start by saying I always thought that Trump would be the nominee. And 2 years ago, I was wondering why Ron DeSantis was lighting his career on fire by trying to run against Donald Trump, to be honest with you. I think, Trump and the Republican Party, I think they're one and the same. And so that doesn't surprise me. Those numbers are some of the most encouraging numbers I've seen in the 20-some-odd years I've been doing this.
Oh, Christie's, by the way, I should explain. It's Friday, so we'd usually be doing a happy hour, but Christie's travelling. She's in the Netherlands. What new?
Because I want to see it communicated to Democratic leadership that we want you to fight. And I've been riding Chuck Schumer for, 10 years, trying to get him. I mean, Harry Reid was a great, I think...
No, she's not getting smoked, because you don't even need to, because it's legal in Germany now. So she can get all the weed she likes in Germany. And, of course, she would never have smoked in Germany before it became legal, obviously. She's a good girl. But, she doesn't need to go to the Netherlands for that now.
As far as they go, leader of the Senate for Democrats. But it is, I think it's time for new leadership in the Democratic Party. We need and this is not even ideological from my perspective. I think there are Democrats that I agree with and Democrats that I disagree with from an ideological standpoint. But I think a different generation of Democrats understand that the Republican Party is intransigent. There is no negotiating with them. I think the biggest mistake that Joe Biden made was following the American Rescue Act, which was a massive boon to the American public. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year. I just want to repeat that. We cut child poverty by 45% in a year because of that act when Biden first got in. And you know what Republicans were talking about after we passed bills that cut child poverty in a year, that extended unemployment benefits, that provided food stamps, that provided health insurance. Republicans were talking about 2 books that the Dr. Seuss publisher decided not to publish. And so, in my mind, the Republican Party there is completely bankrupt of ideas. And Joe Biden, instead of pushing through Build Back Better over that summer, he opened the door for the Republicans to give a proposal. That went nowhere for 3 months. Then he opened the door for Kristen Sinema and Rob Portman to come in and give a proposal. And that ultimately, I think, is when Democratic voters started getting impatient with Biden, because we were thinking $5 trillion, $4 trillion. Joe Manchin was saying $6 trillion Build Back Better bill. And we never got anything like that. It ended up getting split into the IRA, which was a good bill, but I think insufficient.
It was a good bill, and we support the IRA on this channel. The Inflation Reduction Act. We were massive, massive fans of the IRA. I love I love being able to say that. Unironically, to be able to say, I love the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. Yeah. And the British police can't do anything about it.
And then infrastructure stuff, also important, but insufficient. And so I think what you're seeing is frustration from Democratic voters who are saying, A, you're not fighting. B, you're allowing the Republicans too much
Let me ask you this.
opportunity.
Do you
And
think-
C, we need more government intervention.
Do you think
I don't
it's
wanna
more
do
that
this
they're
anymore.
fighting, or do you think that
Oh, for fuck's sake. Thank you, Politics Clive, while the audio is up. Oh, to scare me. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
their policies are simply bad policies and they're not landing?
No, I think it's that they're not fighting. What are their policies?
So tell me what policies are, like right now, the Democratic Party. Who is the face of the Democratic Party, and what are the top 3 things you guys stand for?
Well, I don't think there is a face of the Democratic Party at the moment. I mean, Chuck Schumer is nominally the, you know, the highest elected Democratic official that's out there.
That's not a good sign for you guys.
100%. I agree. I call for him to resign every day. I don't know that there is a single. I don't think the Democratic
It's 3 letters, AOC.
Party has coalesced around an agenda. We're having a there's a fight within the Democratic Party.
What would you like? Do you have someone you like that you would want to see, or do you want to see the capitalistic competitive philosophy of somebody just comes out and let's see who it is? Because if there is, even you right now, Sam,
The capitalistic. I don't understand.
what I mean
Yeah, the capitalism and competitiveness aren't the same fucking thing, you dope.
by capitalistic, like competitive. Let's just see who comes out
Competition
of the competition. is that
predates
what I'm saying?
capitalism.
Yeah,
But-
so that's good. The competition is a
Yeah,
good
no,
thing.
I mean,
right?
I think, obviously there's going to be a competition.
Is there anyone?
Honest to God, if AOC beats Chuck Schumer in New York, I would actually come. I swear to God. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would hold the lead of Chuck Schumer if she challenged him in next election, according to a poll released on Friday. The poll conducted by Data for Progress among 767, an annoyingly specific number, likely New York Democratic primary voters from March the 26th to the 23rd showed Ocasio-Cortez with a nearly 20-point lead in a hypothetical 2028 primary matchup between the two. The margin for error was plus or minus 4 percentage points. So she's pissing it. It's almost like if you actually represent the will of the people to any extent, you will be 20 points ahead of Chuck Schumer because he doesn't. Honestly, AOC might actually save us. And I can save her.
One you like?
Well, I think there are policies that I like that are expressed by like Sanders and AOC on their tour, their anti-oligarchy tour. I mean, obviously, I think there are other, policies that are floating around that I don't know that they're necessarily embodied in politicians yet. People are looking. There's a lot of stuff that Tim Walz did in Minnesota that I think is great.
Putting the tampons in the bathroom, that was my favorite. Putting the
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. That's the really important thing that I care about because I am an idiot.
in the
I
men's
mean-
bathroom. That was probably one of the best ones. Putting that's the type of policy that I think that we need in the country. I
No,
don't know
hang
about
on.
you guys.
Tell me what Walsh did that you liked.
That was my favorite.
Substantially, statistically, that Walsh did.
I think things like lunches for kids, expanding educational opportunities.
Wait a minute. There weren't lunches for kids. There wasn't federal money
Free,
from the Department
free.
of Education. Free
Free.
lunches for kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
Well,
No, let's go. I really want to hear it because a lot of this was federal money that floated. I really want to know.
well,
what was
other
so
states
substantial
reject
enduring things.
expansion of Medicare and Medicaid. I should say Medicaid in Minnesota. He provided for
Expansion to who specifically?
to through the ACA to people making 400% of poverty. He's got.
Wait a minute. Medicaid is designed, if I walk in with a broken leg to a public hospital, right, that Medicaid is there to take care of me if I'm destitute and unable to it. That's a good thing. And that's exactly the things that California did, and it was already there. What was expanded about that in Minnesota?
You're expanding the pool of people who can access Medicaid on a state-by-state basis. There's still, I don't know, half a dozen states, Republican states, that don't allow that expansion of Medicaid.
Okay, so
you're not aware of that?
So you can, yeah, I'm absolutely aware of it. But what I want to ask you is, when you expand the Medicaid, it is a fact that basically you close the public hospitals. And so what you're talking about, the things he did
That's not true.
Oh yeah,
like those hospitals aren't closing in Minnesota. What are you talking about?
Ask Gavin Newsom. Ask him what happened to King Drew in Los Angeles. This is well documented. I'm stunned.
You can do a choice if you want to close a public. I mean, Andrew Cuomo closed a lot of public hospitals in New York State. That's not a function of Medicaid payments.
You want to go take a look at California and King Drew and what happened? Gavin Newsom himself talked about it.
I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom, but you're asking me about Waltz, and
no, we didn't ask about Waltz. You were talking. You said you like some of the things.
He
Waltz
asked
was
me
doing.
what was in what I like about Tim
Yeah, he literally asked him, you prick. Are you listening to the guests on your own show or not?
Waltz.
No, you said you
and
like.
I wanted one of the specifics of the things that he did.
Right. Okay. So, but continue with the following, Sam, if you don't mind, because this is what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah.
So, one, the Republican Party, like you said, I knew 2 years ago that Trump would be a DeSantis, all this other stuff.
Right.
We were on the same page. I thought it was going to be him. But a lot of Republicans were a little bit still staying safe and hesitant of whether they were going to go all in or not the first time you and I spoke. But today, when I said, who do you like, what policies, you said, I like what AOC is doing. You said Sanders, anti-oligarchy, all that stuff, right?
I have a different, I think, way of looking at politics maybe than you do. It's not for me, like, if a candidate emerges who embraces...
Well, this is the thing, Sam. You've walked into this room with people who are Trump obsessives. For them, it's not about policy. It's about the individual. That's it. It's about Trump. If Trump decides that tariffs are good, then they will choose that tariffs are good. And if Trump decides the next day that tariffs are bad, they will all of a sudden completely always have been of the opinion that tariffs were bad. They don't give a fuck about the policy. It's just the person. That's why he asked, is there a policy in the Democratic Party? What he didn't ask, is there a series of policies in the Democratic Party that you like? It's, is there a leader you like? Because for them, like they'll do this, right? They will do this thing like, well, clearly there isn't that much enthusiasm for X person because they don't have yard signs up like there are all these Trump yard signs. Yeah, that's because you people are in a fucking cult. You people are in a Trump cult. You're the one who is deranged about Trump. You're deranged for Trump. I don't give a fuck about the individual leader. I want good policy that is effective and helps people. I don't give a fuck who does it particularly. Fucking hell. For them, it's just an extension of religion.
A wider set of my preferred policies. That's the one I'll support. I don't really get too involved in the individual, frankly. I mean, Joe Biden was not my favorite candidate by a long shot in 2020. The fact that there were coalitions built out of Warren and Sanders supporters that ended up bringing us a much better set of labor policies than we've seen in my lifetime from my perspective, with the National Labor Relations Board, with just the appointments of people like Abruzzo as the general counsel there, the extension of unions' ability to unionize and helping working people in that way, and then the antitrust regime that was largely a function of the Warrenites putting in their people to...
Yes, Warrenites, green dildo, lime green dildos, rise up. The lime green dildo army.
Undermine big concentration of money and power. Those are big positives. So, do I like Joe Biden? No. But I also know that if there are the right coalitions formed that have influence within the context of an administration, that's good from my perspective.
Got it. But to me, like running a business or politics, right? Or it shifts when people all of a sudden look at you and they say, I don't like these ideas anymore. So in the Democratic Party, you have a lot of different people that would have different policies. Hey, I think we should do this, and I think we should do that. Great. Obviously, it didn't land November 5th, 2024, whether it was Kamala Harris, whether it was the policies, whether it's 7 states you lose, battleground states you lose, whether it's the majority. It was a bad loss. It was a humiliating loss. One could say it was Kamala. One could say it was Obama.
I don't think it was a humiliating loss. It was a bad loss, absolutely. But humiliating, no. No. It was relatively narrow. Again, it came down to a few battle states. And considering she didn't have a proper run at it, she did all right. She should have stuck with Waltz instead of going with fucking Liz Cheney. But, you know, what can you do?
One could say it was Biden stepping, one could say it's Schumer, one could say it's Pelosi. Let's set that part aside. To me, the most basic part is ideas. If someone has ideas that's producing results that people like, they want to continue that, right? And we watched, like, if I ask a Democrat, even right now, Ben, I ask you for 15 minutes, I still don't know if Democrats know what they're for. Like,
well,
what
I'm not,
are their
I'm not
policies for?
speaking for the Democrats.
Okay, what are the Republicans' policies? Oh, it's whatever Trump wants on any given day. That's it. Y'all don't fucking have policies. You have greed. Greed isn't really a policy.
Democratic Party. I can tell you what I'm for.
Tell me what you're for.
Oh, I am for universal health care,
Okay.
single payer health care.
Yep.
I am for increased ability to unionize. I am for decommodifying parts of the housing sector. I am for decommodifying power. I am for decommodifying access to the internet. I mean, those are my big ones right there. I
Who
think if
in
we
your
could,
party is for that?
well, who in the Democratic Party is for that? I don't know that there's anybody who in our party who embraces all of those. I mean, that is a major political.
See, our party. That's where Sam begins to lose me somewhat. Our party. It isn't your party. In the same way that I was doing earlier with Sharon Graham, the Labour Party isn't the Labour Party. It doesn't stand for Labour. It doesn't stand for the working people. It isn't our party. It isn't your party, Sharon. And the Democratic Party don't stand for the working people of America. They're not your party, Sam. They don't represent the values you just espoused. Sorry, that might be painful to hear. I don't know, but like, it's just fucking true.
Figure. I mean, I think I'm to the left of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
But I think there are elements of what I want that are represented by people in the Democratic Party. I mean, I think having a very jaundiced eye to the overwhelming concentration of wealth and wealth disparity, I think is a fundamental problem that we have in this country. I think too much of what happens in this country is a function of the concentration of wealth. I mean, that gets back to why I want to return back to the tax regime we had in the 50s and the 60s, where the top marginal rate was 90% for every dollar above what today's money would be about $4 million. So, and just to explain this, because I've seen so many people on the right not understand marginal tax rates that it's almost disturbing. The first $1 million that you earn is taxed at 32%, or whatever the prevailing rate is. The second $1 million you earn, 32%. The third, 32%, because I think that's the highest. Maybe it's 37% is the highest. Once you get over $4 million, every extra dollar after that is taxed at a 90% rate.
That's what you want.
That is what we had in this country for several decades in the
But
post-World War.
why do you think that's good, though? Because we talked about
Because
this. Why do you-
Because it led to the most prosperous time in American history, you dopey cunt. That's why. It literally led to the most prosperous time ever, anywhere.
I think that's good.
I'll tell you, because it flattens wealth disparity.
Okay.
And that is when you have the greatest expansion of the economy.
Right.
When the wealth of the country is shared by as many people as possible.
Right.
Obviously, it's not everybody gets the same amount, but
Do you think that's a popular idea? Do you think 80% of Americans want that? Americans want that?
I
Or do you
think if
Why would it need to be 80% of Americans? 80% of Americans can't agree on anything.
I was to show Americans,
You've been
Americans,
showing for 20
no,
years.
no,
though.
no. Yeah, put up a graph of income disparity.
Right.
You put up a graph of income disparity, Americans are shocked when they realize how much money
Yeah.
is held by the top 1% in this country. Really, the top 0.01% relative to the rest. I mean, like literally a handful of families
Yeah.
have more money and more wealth in this country than 50% of the population.
There's so many questions to that. For me, the question is the following. Here's where I'm trying to go with a guy
I get
like
you show that to 80% of Of and there's no questions. There's going to be like, what the fuck?
You know what other?
I don't know if I
you know
can
what
swear
else you
on
can
here.
show? You can't because you're a guest. But you know what else? You can. CAN.
Okay,
you
thank
can. You can. You're a guest. So if you
Fuck,
somebody
fuck,
could
fuck,
go
fuck,
and say,
fuck,
okay,
fuck.
why don't you pull up who pays the most taxes in America? The top 1% pays 50% of taxes in America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can give that argument. So to me, if we go
Okay,
back and forth,
I mean-
but this is the part I want to do with this specific argument, this specific idea, where I want to go with a guy like you. Okay, is I think sometimes, like the Democratic Party, you go to a message, and you know how Trump tests things out. Yeah, Greenland. It's Greenland. So Greenland. Yeah, Greenland. It's going to be so one way or another. We're not going to go to war, but one way. Yeah, you know, a third term. I'm not talking about third term, but a lot of people are talking about third term.
Yeah, he does test out the boundaries of legality. That isn't a good thing. He put his hand on a Bible he claims to think is the word of God, and swore to uphold and protect the Constitution, not to test whether I can just fucking break it. I can get a third term, but maybe it'd be really like a fourth term, actually. Fuck off.
Yeah, Canada should just be a 51st state. Governor Trudeau. Trump will throw these things out there, okay? And then the market reacts.
But it's a brain fart. It's not a principle. It isn't a policy. He's just a brain fart. It's not some master plan. It's not 5D chess. It's just he goes, Canada should be the 51st state. We should only eat chips on a Tuesday. Free chocolate for donkeys. Like, it's just a stream of consciousnness.
Acts to it, and the market will say, what is he talking about? And then I believe this is how I do it as a business owner. You kind of, I'll be in front of, I'll never forget one time I brought 9 of my guys and I dropped an idea on them. You should have seen the reaction on everybody. You know what the reaction was? They looked at me like I was high. They looked at me like I am on shrooms. They're like, what the fuck? Pat, respectfully, these are terrible ideas. So you know what happens to a business owner? They're so used to...
Can donkeys eat chocolate? Yes, they can. And anyone who says otherwise is woke. You see? It's easy. In Trumpland, you can just make up any old shit. I have no actual idea whether donkeys can safely eat chocolate. But you know what? Donkeys have the right to eat chocolate. It's enshrined in the Constitution. You have to read creatively into it, but it's definitely there. And so anyone trying to deny donkeys, patriotic American donkeys, the right to their chocolate is woke, and it's DEI. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, that's the basics of the joke from earlier, yes. For anyone who missed the bit we did earlier about Russell Brand, that meme might seem insensitive. It might seem grossly insensitive.
Get the fuck, like I'm not playing with all these mutants.
Quite so. Hello there, Mad Cat Scotty. I thank you for the raid. Much love. Anyway, everyone go and follow Mad Cat, who is awesome.
Coming up with bad ideas, what do? They move on with bad ideas. So to me, Trump gets up there and says, well,
but Trump hasn't moved on with the ideas. Trump has now, for 2 days, seen the markets fucking spiral downwards. Absolutely spiral out of control downwards. And he hasn't changed his opinion or his position at all. So it's not, he just puts it out there, and if he gets a bad reaction, he goes, okay, I won't do that. No, he's just going to carry on regardless. Oh, you fucking little prick. I have to change it. Right. Where were we? Hashtag save the woke donkeys. Thank you, Niall. Much love. Nintendo Switch isn't being delivered to the US and will cost $600. Exactly. That's the one thing that might actually get the gamers against him. He might have lost the gamers because the Nintendo DS isn't going to go to America now. Which is funny. Oh, I've just noticed this in the chat. Not in the chat, in the old suggestions. It's a James O'Brien bit called Trump Tariffs Debate Descends into Brexit Chaos. Oh. Should we see some unironic nonsense?
I don't want to do this anymore.
Fuck off, you fucking wee gobshite. Thank you, Niall. I love your reaction. I love not having a fucking heart attack, you prick. I just want to feed chocolate to donkeys. Can you not leave a man alone? Why are you wanting to... Mad Cat, why do you want to collaborate? I'm not... Why? Just say what you want to say in chat. Oh, you people are incorrigible. Yeah, let's get sensible. Come on.
Paul is in Hookin, Hampshire. Paul, what would you like to say?
No, just there's the emotion around this, and name calling, and Trump's this, Trump's that, Trump's the other. I don't know why everybody's so surprised. When he was, going for election, he said he was going to do this. Everybody knew he was going to do it.
Everybody kept telling us to ignore what he said and concentrate on what he did. You remember?
Well, this is the thing, yeah. Like, people are doing this now. Decline. I'm not collaborating. God damn it, Mad Cat. Feck it, I'm still live. Let's knock. No, leave me alone. No, I'm only joking. Much love. Yeah, everyone's now. Josh Hawley, who's like a fucking legal guy, right? Is literally saying, "Oh, Trump's still. He's only joking about the third term thing. Honest." This is the thing. Trump, it reminds me of Caesar and Mark Antony and the diadem. For those who don't know, during the Lupercalia festival, which was a reproductive festival thing in ancient Rome, where people would run around the streets naked, beating people with sticks in a sexy way. It's literally, that is not actually an inaccurate description of the situation. Anyway, Mark Antony technically was the head of state and ran through the street naked doing this. Anyway, he saw a diadem, sometimes referred to as a crown, but it wasn't a crown, it was a diadem, which is like a crown, but not. And he offers the crown, he sees the crown and he offers it to Julius Caesar. And Caesar says no. And he offers it again, and the crowd go, and he says no, again. That, for me, that story, which is, I mean, I've told in a quite shorthand way. It's a lot more dramatic than that in reality. But that story was essentially prearranged, because as one of the senators pointed out, Mark Antony, are we to just believe you found a diadem in the street? A golden crown was just lying there in the street, was it? No, it fucking wasn't. Obviously not. This was set up because Julius Caesar wanted to see whether the crowd in Rome would accept him as king. And it was only when they had a negative reaction to the crown being offered to him that he rejected it, performatively rejected it twice, so that he would curry favour with the people of Rome. And then he took kingly powers anyway. But the point being is he was testing the waters. And I think that's what Trump does. Trump does the exact same thing. That's why you've had a slew of bills from Republicans going on about trying to make Trump's birthday a national holiday, trying to get Trump carved into Mount Rushmore. Right? You've had a series of these fucking stupid bills gone through, or tried to get through. They always get voted down. But the point is you test the waters. You see how far you can push it. Trump would absolutely become a king if he thought he could. 100%.
I do, but again, we've got short memories. When he was, in his first term, he said he would do a number of things, and he did.
Well, he did. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said the stock market would go up and he'd make everyone richer. You now have the Swiss investment bank UBS, widely regarded as a leader in this field, predicting an inevitable recession with growth GDP.
And we'll see. We'll see in time, but, this happened 2 days ago. My point is...
Yeah, and it's been a disaster ever since. Let's have a look at the stock prices. And again, 401ks... Look, I don't even give a fuck usually about the stock prices, but the 401ks, the literal fucking pension pots of your average American, are invested in this shit. And look at it. Absolutely fucking cratered. Load again, you prick. There we go. Look at that. Guess where he made the announcement, chat? Can we guess where on the chart he made his announcement of his fantastic fucking tariffs? Fucking hell. Honestly, people in America, you need to get rid of your 401ks, drain the money from that completely, and invest in eggs. Because it's the only thing that's going to have any fucking value soon. Eggs are going to be worth fucking $50 a piece. Not $50 for six, $50 each. And the stock market's going to be worth fuck all. America's going to return to an egg barter economy. Eggs are going to replace the American dollar as the reserve currency. It's just going to be an egg economy. So get involved, buy your eggs now whilst they're still vaguely affordable. Don't eat them, for God's sake. It'd be like eating gold. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll cause a recession. You reckon? It's fallen off a fucking cliff, mate. Yeah, I think it might. Fuck's sake.
Very simple. He said he was going to do this. He's done it. The emotion and the response is quite ridiculous, I think.
To be fair, he did say he was going to murder loads of people. And so the fact that he's murdered loads of people, you can't really criticise him.
In terms of, he will want deals. He wants to make a deal with people. This is his way of doing it.
By being a lunatic.
None of us need to like it. But name calling and saying he's this, that, and the other.
I had never noticed. You know what? 255. I had never noticed that. One of the guards next to Goering there is a bit twinky. He's got cheekbones. I mean, he's probably dead now, but if he's not, he'd be 100 years old and probably doesn't look as good anymore. He may have gone through death or twink death and then death. Probably, I imagine. But yeah, no, he is. That is, yeah. Interestingly, did you know they did a rotation between the British, French, American and Russians in terms of the guards at the prison? They would do 2 weeks on and rotate between them. Little fact. Cost fucking millions. And from 1961 until his death in 1987, literally a couple of months after I was born, Hess, the last remaining Nazi, was the only motherfucker in the prison. We were spending millions of dollars every year to lock up one man in a massive fuck-off prison in the middle of Berlin. Why not, I guess. Fuck it.
being a bit woke, Paul. A little bit of name calling, a little bit of mischief, a little bit of fun. It keeps us all honest.
I'm the least woke.
Keeps the conversation fresh.
Least woke bloke in the world.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
In the world.
So,
thought you might be. Oh, Jesus Christ! that is, they have turned communist. Yeah, the stock market has gone red. Everybody. Yeah, loving the Tesla vibes there. By the way, just, I mean, again, truly masterful gambit, sir. Absolutely beautiful work. Can we all just... Bravo. He really is. Honestly, he's just better than us. He's just smarter. He's a super genius, brainy think boy. We can't compete with that. He's a legend. He's going to get us to Mars. He is. Next Tuesday, probably, I reckon.
What should Starmer do in this context, then?
Well, I think the first thing is, it's 10%. I think that was probably better than the UK thought it was going to be. I think...
no, it's exactly the same as every other country in the same situation as ours.
Yeah, except Europe.
No, they're not in the same situation as us. They have a different trade balance, a different balance of trade. So any country with a comparable balance of trade to us gets the 10%. There's no special treatment there whatsoever.
Okay, so that's
so you're
where
admitting
we are.
that you're admitting that Starmer bent over backwards and got nothing for it, James. That's the thing you're just going with, right? Amazing. Well done, James.
Trump is looking after America. It's his country.
Playing a blinder update, everybody.
Into recession. Its own stock market. They've lost $2 trillion. How is that looking after America? No, I will, but you're going to have to address the question of how is a $2 trillion loss overnight looking after America?
Well, he's talking 1 day, 2 days. Let's see what it's like in 3 months. Who knows? I don't know, and nor do you, and nor does anybody else.
You just said he's looking after America, and I've just said he's just lost trillions of dollars. So in the context, so in the context of now, he's hitting America really, really hard. But at some unspecified point in the future, things might go really well. Did you vote for Brexit?
Can I just say, James, this is remarkable because you're correct. You're correct, mate. That is the way he's operating. But you're supporting Keir Starmer, who's doing the same thing, albeit through a different mechanism, of crippling Britain now, but he's fixing the foundations, and at some unspecified time in the future, it'll totally get better and everything will be fine. And you think that's playing a blinder. He's one of the sensibles. Oh, sensible friend.
Pardon?
Did you vote for Brexit?
I did.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
And this was the same argument we heard then?
Well, no, but Starmer is the leader of Britain. Hang on. Starmer's the leader of Britain. Because we are on our own, he can decide what the government decides to do in response to these tariffs. Now, he can retaliate. That's up to him. He's our leader. Yeah? He needs to look after Britain. Yeah, that's his country. And the Swiss need to look after the Swiss, etc., etc. And it all goes around like that.
Yes.
Because that's what Trump's doing.
So what do you think looking after Britain would look like? And you can't keep saying that Trump is looking after America because he's just tanked trillions of dollars from the American economy. They've laid off car workers in America temporarily as a direct result of the impacts his tariffs will have upon their overseas operations. But you knew that.
Well, I know that, but I think, Rome isn't built in 2 days, and nor's a response. We're talking about 2 days.
But this is Brexit again.
Yeah, but you're talking 2 days.
But I'm talking $2 trillion.
Look, he almost has a point here. It is a bit like Brexit.
The return of the sausage.
Right? But hang on.
When Elon endorsed Trump in July 2024, Tesla stock was 250. Today it is 239. Concerning.
Looking into this. Eyes emoji. Yeah, indeed. Well, there you go. Sleep with dogs, get fleas, you fucking bitch. Anyway, thank you, Kieran Saunders, with Bitty Bits. If someone does Bitty Bits or a sub or whatever, we go onto a hype train now, which would make me borderline erect. I would be positively moistened by that experience. Whirlpool apparently got rid of a third of their staff. Jesus Christ. He's destroying the American economy to own the libs. Amazing stuff. Anyway, as I was saying with James, he has a point. It is a little bit like the false claims about Brexit, right? That it'll be difficult in the short term, but the sunlit uplands of Brexit, the Brexit dividend awaits around the corner. All of that shit is it was nonsense then and it's nonsense now, of course. But James is a little bit like the boy who cried Brexit. He's sort of got the kind of Lib Dem disease, if you will, the kind of Brexit Tourette's, where everything is just doesn't matter. What do you want for breakfast? Brexit. What time is it? Brexit. What did you do at work today? Rejoin the EU. It's just that's all they fucking say. It's all they say. It's all they fucking do. And it becomes difficult to take seriously after a while. Like, just calling something Brexit, like for James, I think the word Brexit is just a slur. It's just a way of like, it's like the Liberals' equivalent of the word woke. You know how Conservatives use the word woke to just mean scum, like evil, shit. This thing is bad. You need to hate it. Just call something Brexit. Just say this is like Brexit. And that's the liberal equivalent of calling it woke. Brexit's like DEI in reverse. Or in mirror. Or whatever, you know what I mean. Thank you, Mad Cat Scotty with Bitty Bits. Thank you to Lord Fritos for gifting us up to 3 Sharin. And thank you, Dingus Van Zandt with Bitty Bits. Much love. If we get to the next level of the hype train, I will finger the Nasdaq because it is dead. I don't think I've fingered a stock market before. To be honest with you, it's probably the thing that's going to make me catch something, isn't it? Fingering corpses is much safer. If I recall, James stopped short of rejoin, but I might be wrong. Tolerated him. Well, I don't think he comes out and says we need to rejoin, but I think that's what he actually wants to happen. I think he's just realistic enough to know it isn't going to happen. Certainly in the near future. I've said basically for 10 years that topic is out of the question. Unless, like, we literally go into a Greek-style fucking meltdown and there are, like, fucking bread riots or something, then the rejoining the EU isn't going to be on the table. Because the current generation of politicians are so fucking scarred by that experience of the Brexit process. It literally brought down Prime Minister after Prime Minister after years of, like, really significant stability. In terms of prime ministerialness, right? You'd had Margaret Thatcher for 10 plus years. You had John Major for 7 years, right? You had Blair for 10 years. Brown didn't last long, but that's because he got voted out, right? That's fine. Cameron was around for a long time. Won several
Just
elections.
a random number. This doesn't have the potential to make your heart stop. Kitty bonk.
Quite so. And then Brexit comes along and you've just got Cameron's gone, May's gone, fucking Cabbage Bitch has gone, Rishi Sunak has gone. Like, all of them. It's just a fucking catastrophe. It's destroyed the stability at the heart of British governance. It's a fucking nightmare. And so you're just not gonna get this generation of politicians to want to touch that subject with a shitty stick. You see, even Keir Starmer, who's like really wants to be a kind of rejoin guy, right? He's naturally much more a pro-EU dude. It can only sort of sidle up to the topic of maybe rearranging our trading arrangement with the EU a bit. But kind of. Like, he can't even bring himself to have a separate EU relations minister. He's literally got Thomas Simons, the guy I mentioned earlier, right? He's the Paymaster General and the coordinating something for resetting EU relations or some bollocks like that. He can't even bring himself to actually start a fucking an actual portfolio for a minister to do this thing. That's how fucking scared of the topic he is. It's mad. Anyway. Thank you to Madcap for gifting 5 subs. I'd love to see a Madcap. God bless. Thank you to Phil Decker, who says, since I was too late to head over for another beer, take my beer tokens. Well, thank you, Phil. And thank you, Wayward Historian, with a random number. I don't even know what that number could possibly refer to. Yeah, thank you for the 1312 bitties, whatever that number means. Penguins and Murs? Pole to pole free trade deal to combat Trump's tariffs. Yeah. This could be the thing that finally brings the polar bears and the penguins together. They live at opposite sides of the world, but we live in a global economy right now, okay? The penguins and the polar bears, the fucking Heard and McDonald Island penguins and the Svalbard polar bears need to get together, okay? Together they are strong. Apart they are weak. I've got to go and finger the Nasdaq now. It's in New York, isn't it, I think? Hello there, Mixed Vivian Wolf. Everyone go and follow Mixed Vivian Wolf immediately. Fuck LBC, fuck it into the dirt, just trying to listen to the radio whilst washing up and they're pumping out anti-trans propaganda. Fucking Bindle on there proselytising about the cotton ceiling conspiracy theory with Rachel Johnson giving zero pushback. Fucking hell. Yeah, no, LBC are pretty scummy. Yeah. No, I'm with you, Viv. LBC are fucking dreadful. But it makes for good content. That's what I will say. I hate to have to say it, but, like, it is technically what I do. The common murre, or common guillemot, okay, I've heard of a guillemot, is a large orc. What the fuck is this fucking Lord of the Rings ass bullshit? It's an orc. It has a circumpolar distribution occurring in low Arctic and boreal water. Oh, suck my dick. Yeah, it lives in fucking Middle Earth. Lot of bollocks. Fuck's sake. It hangs around with Smaug.
You know the market's probably better than I do.
When's the last time $2 trillion were lost overnight? US stocks plunged.
I have no idea.
The pandemic. He's actually worse, you know. Trump has lost more money in 2 days than was lost at the height of the pandemic. He's literally more destructive financially than the global pandemic that shut everything down and killed like 1 million Americans. He's worse than that. Amazing.
But doesn't it matter, though, to your optimism, especially after your vote for Brexit went so badly? Doesn't this idea of sticking all your eggs in the things are going to be great at some unspecified point in the future, haven't you kind of got bored of that yet?
I just think people are so surprised by something he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he's done it. Now, the response will be interesting. I think, he prides himself, if people want to call him a narcissist, he prides himself on being the art of the deal.
He's not just a narcissist, he's a Nazi-cist. And cysts that are like Nazis need to be excised. That's actually quite poetic. I didn't plan that. Thank you everyone for the hype train. Much fucking love to you.
Do you
what
know?
What he wants to do is to negotiate.
Do you? Well, you know he didn't write that book.
Well, no, I know. You're right.
Do you know what happened the last time they brought in tariffs like this?
Oh, God, no, I haven't got a clue.
But doesn't it matter, Paul?
This is the problem. Why would you ring up a fucking radio station? Why would you ring up a radio station and talk about this and say, oh, I support this, I think this is a good thing, if you literally don't know what the precedent for this is? Yeah, I support us going back on the gold standard. Do you know what happened last time we were on the gold standard? No, I don't care. I haven't looked into it. It was probably fine, though, I reckon. Yeah, it probably went really well. Yeah. Yeah, respectfully no emote's pretty good, isn't it? Fuck yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your support, genuinely. Like, again, hang on, we're going, you know what? We're going fucking sincerity camp, bitches. genuinely thank you for all of your support. I've had a difficult time recently with the accident and the brief hospitalisation and everything. And your support, both, it doesn't even have to be financial, because I realise it's these difficult times, and like socialism doesn't pay well for me in capitalism, you know. So I realise that not everyone can afford to give money. Things are tight. So when you do, I really appreciate that. But even if you don't, just your support in general really means the world to me. I don't often say it, because like my bit is like the sort of faux antagonism for comedic effect, but it is genuinely means the world to me. You've got me through some difficult, dark times, and I love you all. Ah, fuck you, wanker! See, because I wasn't on Sincerity Cam anymore, so I can go back to doing the joke. I cry at night. I wish I could emotionally express myself through tears. I wish I was able to. And I can't.
No, because I think
Okay.
that...
No,
I think it does.
I find conversations like this fascinating. You voted for Brexit. You're making all the same arguments about Brexit. Brexit was an undiluted catastrophe, but this one will go really well.
Well, I'm not sure it was a catastrophe, was it?
What's your favourite bit?
Pardon me?
What's your favourite bit?
Look, he's a wanker, right? He's an absolute wanker. He's a melty fucking briefcase, sensibles, adults in the room fucking melt. But he is quite a funny cunt. I'll give him that. Like, there's a certain kind of comedic charm to his nonsense. Like, what's your favourite bit? Like, there's a deadpan beauty to that it's just good timing, man. You can't deny he is an effective communicator, even if he is a prick.
My favourite bit is, well, you've probably got a point, actually. It's about controlling entry and exit from the country.
How's that worked out for you?
You have a point.
Yeah, and we could, of course, have controlled it a lot more robustly before.
If we'd had the rubber dinghy sniffing dogs, if we'd had the rubber sniffing dogs a lot longer ago, this wouldn't have happened. I blame the Prime Miniature and the cabbage bitch. All of them.
Been a catastrophe. The reason why you voted for it has got immeasurably worse, but you believed things would be brilliant at some unspecified point in the future, and here you are making exactly the same arguments about Donald Trump.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I think... No, hang on.
I have hung on.
It's about the people. It's
I
about
don't
the
want
people.
to do this
Yeah, this country.
Honestly, finger me sideways, you bastard. Thank you, Ginger Yeti. Money to keep you crapping yourself. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's... you know what? I enjoy it. Laugh it up, dickheads. I've just given you a moment of sincerity, poured my heart out, showed you a little bit of my soul. And you've decided to abuse that. You know what? I'm going to have to take my own advice. I'm going to have to disassociate. I'm going to have to disaffiliate from my own audience. Okay? You don't stand for the things I stand for. Which is me not having a fucking heart attack every 5 minutes.
There's no indigenous...
Caltanian Chronicles. Myth-busting English history. The truth they hate. Oh no, what is this monstrosity? By the way, I found a history YouTuber worse than Metatron. Oh, for fuck's sake. I mean, already, just the channel being called Caltanian Chronicles makes my skin crawl. Let's have a look at this fucking melter's work, shall we? The hidden truth about reality, what they don't want you to know. Oh, yes, this is a minefield. Love it. This is a gold mine of shit. Oh, hang on. Whoa. Genetics. No, hang on. Wait. How England created the modern world. History they won't teach you. I'm sorry. Is this an Al Murray bit? Is he doing an Al Murray bit? Are we losing the right to free speech in the UK? Brythonic Celts. One world order. Traditionalism versus globalism. The battle for England's future. Oh no. Oh. Okay.
There's no
Okay, we'll take a look at this in a minute.
And it should be very easy for this country to control its borders. They don't, because the government before and this government are useless.
Incredible. See, I have a theory that everybody who likes Trump and Brexit is obsessed with immigration. And here you are talking about $2 trillion losses that America has taken overnight, saying, hey, wait and see, it might all turn out to be brilliant. But what you really, really care about
255, where do you find these fucking people, by the way? You found Metatron, you found Despunkify, what's his name again? The fucking weirdo sex pat guy. The fucking toothless creep. And fucking, and then you found this malt. Like, what? Where do you dig these people up from? Like, I watch good history content. Where do you find these people? What rock do you have to look under to find this kind of fucking mutant insect? Kev, did you get a first? Do you mean at university did I get a first? No, I got a 2-2. I got a Desmond, motherfucker. Oh god, the LBC show this afternoon with Tom and some Toronto millionaire talking about she's leaving the UK. Oh god. That sounds depressing, Thorn. I won't be listening to that. Thank you, thank you, says Thomas, for gigantifying an emote. Much love. I watch alternate history content sometimes, so people show up in my recommendations. Ooh.
Immigration.
No, I don't. I think I care about it.
Why'd you bring it up then?
Well, you brought it up. I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I
asked what your favourite bit of Brexit. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit was.
I gave you an example. You're right. Yeah, but no.
So what is your actual favourite bit of all the things that have happened? Yeah, and Brexit has played out, which is why the parallel is so interesting. So of all the things that have happened, what's your favourite bit?
Of Brexit?
Yeah.
I think just controlling your own laws.
Which ones do we control now that we didn't control
before?
There's
a lot now that we're not impacted by the EU that
like
we
what?
were. I didn't like being dictated to by Brussels.
Like on what? On what?
Well, whatever the silly laws came out of there.
Go on, then, give me one.
You know.
Give me one.
Oh, come on, you know there were loads.
I can't think of one, but you can, because you know that there are loads. Go on, give me one.
He's just doing the greatest hits now. James, my man, you can't keep getting away with this. He's literally just doing the greatest bits of winding up Brexiteers. It's not 2020 anymore, right? Get your fucking act together. We're not going through this shit. Okay? We're not doing this fucking relitigating Brexit every 5 minutes bit. We've moved on. Well, we haven't at all moved on, but we should have fucking moved on.
One.
Don't be silly.
Give me one.
You know, out of Brussels, there were loads out of
Give
Brussels.
me one.
We
Bendy bananas.
Why is that funny? You voted for it. There are lots, and you can't name one.
Bendy bananas.
Well, Brussels, we didn't have control of our own laws.
Bendy bananas.
For example?
I can't think of an
Emulsified
example.
offal tubes.
Pardon me?
Oh, wait.
You'll have a long way. I can't think of an example.
No,
but
you're bound to be able to, because there's loads.
There's
Paul
loads.
just told me.
There's loads.
So I'll wait.
You're very good, but no.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I just care about facts.
Anyway, we're not talking about Brexit.
He cares about facts.
I'm waiting now.
You're waiting. The economy, let's wait and see.
No, tell me the thing that's gone really well. You said the law that you're pleased about.
My point.
How has this happened? How has this discussion of Trump's fucking tariffs become, tell me the good thing about Brexit? Like, much love, Kev, even though you support the Blues. Fuck yeah, bitches. Yeah. I was thinking of possibly, on the point of football, I'm not going to go to the Wembley final, because I can't be bothered. I went to watch Blues play at the old Wembley in the same final 30 years ago, and I just don't feel like it. So I might do a watch-along bit. Like, you know how the Flying Pig and all those people that we watch the Man United clips of, but do like an actual watch-along of the final. And it's really annoying because we've got Peterborough on fucking Tuesday as well. It's ridiculous. So we've got... I can't even remember who we've got the weekend. And then on Tuesday, we've got Peterborough United away in the league. And then on the Sunday, we face that same team at Wembley in the final of the lower league shithouse cup. Brilliant scheduling, lads. I mean, really excellent. It was against Carlisle, absolutely, Tess. I was there too. In what capacity was it again? Are you a Carlisle fan or a Birmingham City fan or a weird neutral? I don't know why a neutral would go to that game, but yes, it was against Carlisle. It's literally when I hear the town Carlisle, I instantly think back to that day in like 95 or something, 94. God, that was a long ass time ago. We won the fucking 3rd Division trophy then as well. No, it was 2nd Division then because the Premier League had just happened, hadn't it? But you know what I mean, the 3rd tier division as well. My dad was a Carlisle fan. Oh, well, there you go. Well, apologies that we ruined your dad. Not ruined your dad. That sounded way sexier than it needed to. That we ruined your dad's day. But also, it was brilliant. I fucking loved it. A Kev's Spunky Paint Trophy final watch-along. Basically, Kieran, that is what I am thinking, yes. That is the thing that I am thinking of doing. And no one will watch, because A, the Americans will still be in bed, and B, no one gives a fuck about that trophy. Who would watch that? But I want to watch it anyway, and I stream for a living, so fuck it. Combine the two.
Let's wait and see. I think many countries...
I'm waiting to see what law you're going to tell me about.
Hang on. Well, we'll negotiate, and Starmer can negotiate for the British...
Barry Fry was a fucking legend. Just the most mental man. In order to break the... There used to be a thing at the Blues called the Gypsy's Curse, right? Which isn't as racist as it sounds, but is still quite racist. Anyway, supposedly there was a horse buried under the stadium and there was a curse put on us. And so to break it, Barry Fry took a piss in all 4 corners of the ground. Not whilst there were people there, like he did this, you know. And I love the madness of that. Because it doesn't matter whether he actually did do it, because there's no film of it or anything, or not. Either way, it's a mental story. Either he literally did do that, which is fucking mental, or he made it up and an entire city believed he did that, which is also delightful and mental but in a slightly different way. Also, was it that season or the season before, where we still hold the record at Birmingham City for the most players used in a single season? 54. We played 54 different players in one season. In a sport where 11 players can play at any one time. We used 54. He liked a bargain, the lad. And he brought in some of the worst players I've ever seen. Absolute dog shit, man. Fucking Peter Shearer. Oh. You know, we got Peter Shearer instead of taking a very young Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on loan. Not Barry Fry's greatest moment, I'll be honest. That was pre-transfer window, yeah. So he used to just buy, like, literally, and because, like, the internet didn't exist, you would turn up for a game not knowing who the fuck was even at the club anymore. Because, like, the only way you could find out was via teletext. Oh, this is how fucking old I am. I'm so disgustingly old. Anyway, you could only find out by teletext. So if you didn't check, you literally would turn up at a game and people would be like, who's the number 12? Who the fuck's that? Who's playing on the left wing there? And it'd just be some bloke you'd never fucking heard of who arrived 2 days earlier on a free. Or for £50,000 from Northampton Town or something, you know. And then he'd play 2 games and be fucked off because he was shit. He was amazing. What is this nonsense? 255 looking for weird obscure history channels. To be fair, with the algorithm, you don't need to go searching. It'll just fucking spew up fascist shite, won't it? What the hell is teletext? Oh my god, okay. Teletext was on your TV. It was before the internet, right? But it was sort of like the internet in that you could look up information about specific topics on your television. So you press there was like a teletext button on your control, and it came up, and it was like, you know, the green screen computers? It kind of looked a bit like that as a layout. Like the text was all in that kind of blocky, like, you know, pixel form. And so you could look up specific news. So you had to go to sport, and then press the button for football, and then scroll all the way down to fucking Birmingham City. And then it would give you like the latest news. Yeah, CFAX was another name for it. Yeah, they got rid of it a few years ago. I used to read music reviews on teletext. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like before the internet. It was actually quite a useful service. Teletext did have some colour, but I just meant I'm trying to explain for the Americans who presumably didn't have this service. Apparently, the kind of layout that it had. You know, it was in that kind of blocky shit like pixel letter form. Actually, I'll just show. Hang on, there's got to be a YouTube bit of teletext, right? Or CFAX, whatever. Yeah, here we go. What was teletext? Okay, here we go.
Let me give you a nice wave of nostalgia by talking about teletext. Of course, I am far too young to remember teletext properly, but you might. And you could use it to get information from your TV, things like the weather or news.
Like that kind of shit.
There was another version called videotext where it wasn't just about broadcasting information. You could effectively talk back to it using your remote. Let me show you how it might have worked. So, okay, if I go to the shopping page here. Oh, here we go.
I don't remember this.
Look at this.
What?
Ooh.
This is nonsense. I don't remember this bit at all. Fuck off. Just show me the real teletext. Oh, fuck off. Just show me a person using teletext, you fucking wankers. There was a Doom game in teletext. When the fuck did that happen?
Currently being updated, like current news, TV programs, weather forecasts, all sorts of information that you would normally find.
So there you go. So if you wanted to, say, find out the cricket news, right, you turn it on, and you could go and you press 340, and that page would pop up there. So that's page 100, the home page, and so it would go to 400, and that would be the front page of cricket. And then it would have a series of other options you could go to for a specific team or general news or whatever, and it would, you know, you could go and read on specific stories. It was actually a really good system before the internet. Now the internet exists, it became completely fucking obsolete and redundant. So that's what I mean. Unless you went and specifically searched for news about who was in the Birmingham City squad under Barry Fry, you'd just turn up and it'd be some random fucking bloke who he'd brought in from York City for 150,000 quid. Bargain. Fucking bargain. And, yeah, and then he'd disappear again because he was shit. He'd sell him for 152,000 and call it like, wait, $2,000 profit. Right.
For Europe.
Don't change this.
No,
Paul.
he can negotiate.
Paul, time for one of your wry chuckles, I think, Paul, isn't it now? Time for a wry chuckle? I'm still waiting for the law, of which...
Now, I would say the BBC Red Button's way better, because the BBC Red Button, you can actually get, like, different TV options. The thing with CFAX was it was just, like, text and a few images. You couldn't get... Like, you couldn't access different TV options. Whereas, like, with the... Like, what I really love is when, like, a snooker tournament is happening, they'll show the highlights programs and stuff, but I want to watch the full session of like a play because I enjoy the kind of the rhythm of things rather than just watching the highlight bits or whatever. Like I like a safety exchange. I like it when they play like fucking 10 safety shots in a row and no one's even trying to putt a ball. I enjoy all of that because it then makes the heightened nature of the highlights better for me. I prefer that. That's why I like cricket. I love the boring bits of cricket because it then makes the exciting bits so much more exciting. Anyway. And so on the BBC Red button, you can literally go and watch the entire thing. Or you can watch the other table, because there's usually 2 tables, right? And if they're showing the boring shit table that you don't want to watch, you can go and watch the other table on the Red button, which you couldn't do with CFAX. There just wasn't an option. So I would argue it's significantly better. As it should be, because we're like fucking 30 years on.
Did you know that you can run the game Doom on a calculator that's powered by 700 potatoes? That's
What the fuck is that sentence? What the fuck is that sentence?
what Equalo did, and it's because the game has such a famously lightweight code that as long as there's a screen and a processor connected, you can run Doom on just about anything. So Doom was an iconic first-person shooter game from 1993 that turned into an online meme when people realized that you could just port the game and run it on the craziest household items. It all started off with simple ports like playing Doom on Game Boys and running it on old computers, but things quickly got more deranged when people realized that they could run the game on MP3 players, on iPods, and even playing Doom on a piano. And that's because the developers released the source code of the game.
What the fuck?
On iPods, and even play.
You can play Doom on a piano. Oh, that's mental.
Playing Doom on a piano. And that's because the developers released the source code of the game to the public back in 1997. So the fans have just been trying to see what's the craziest.
That's a cash machine. He's playing Doom on a cash machine. Fuck yes. That's mental.
Thing they can port and play Doom on. But the absolute craziest place I've seen Doom running on, which is just as weird as the calculator that was powered by 700 potatoes, is that someone actually managed to get Doom running on a pregnancy test.
Oh, that's mental. Pregnancy test. He's literally playing it on a pregnancy test. No fucking.
Now imagine your girlfriend walks into the room with a pregnancy test, and it's not a baby, she's carrying Doom.
Well, I would argue there's very little difference between those things.
Sarah Lowe.
Well, one of the great benefits is that now we're in this situation.
What about bendy bananas?
Now we're in this situation.
3-pin plugs.
Can negotiate for Britain,
Wrapping your fish and chips in newspaper. What's the law you're happiest that you don't have to obey anymore?
In this situation, one of the great benefits is that Starmer can
just say there aren't any, Paul, because everybody listening knows.
Well, this is a great one, isn't it?
Go on. What's your law?
Example.
What's the law?
Well, no, hang on.
No, I'm not. I've hung on for long enough. What's the law you no longer have to obey that justifies your Brexit vote in 2016?
Well, I'll turn it around to answer the question.
No, you can't. So you have.
There's a Dutch equivalent, NOS Teletext app. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
To ask no, you can't. Just answer the question.
Europe are not going to negotiate for us. We're going to negotiate for ourselves. That's the difference.
It's 10:45.
But the thing with the teletext thing is that teletext is dude. What new? Anyway, this weirdo that I've forgotten about Sam Seder. I'll be honest with you, it was boring the arse off me. So we're just going to watch this weird English thing, this weird English history racist. I presume they're racist. Their channel looked very racist, so I assume it is. But who knows?
There's no indigenous English population. The truth.
Yeah, there isn't. Yeah. I don't know why you need a question mark at the end of that. Yeah, there isn't. Next point. The truth says otherwise. Okay. I think my prediction might be correct.
Truth says otherwise. We're told the English aren't indigenous.
Right, okay. I do want to point out that the person whose opinion you're praying in aid here is literally not indigenous. He's from Russia. Konstantin Kisin was born and raised in Russia. Hey! And it's literally... Oh, of course it's spelt like that. Teletext. So rather than teletext, teletext. Rubio vs Tolgewin and Uvnevo. Omroep und Scoop. TNTR. I don't know how to say letters in Dutch. Verdwijnt. Schulswomen komt niet terug. British kommen brand Engeland. Was that racist enough? I do hope so. Also, why is sport in this spelt the same in Dutch? That's weird. And I presume TV Gids is TV Guide, which is a piss take.
That we're just a mix of invaders with no true connection to this land. But why is it only the English who are denied their identity?
No one's denying identity. Nobody, dear friend, is denying identity. They are denying indigeneity, because indigeneity means something. And that thing is not here. Literally, we are a series of invasions from the Jutes, the Normans, the Angles, the Saxons, the Vikings of various sorts, because Viking isn't really a thing. It means theft, or a thief, a robber. But anyway, so the Danes and the Norwegians and the fucking...
Ladies and gentlemen,
Scandi bastards.
Victory is ours!
I got absolutely nothing against the Scandinavians. I don't know why I went to that place. Yeah. We've got Iberian, Spanish influence in the southwest. You've got some native type people in the Welsh. The Welsh are still kind of a thing. The Cornish are still sort of a thing. But again, there's been so much mixing that it doesn't really mean anything. So indigeneity isn't a thing that is here. For good or bad, for right or wrong. But that doesn't mean that we don't have an identity. Of course we have an identity. In fact, we have loads of identities. That's the beauty of it. Dare I say we are something of a melting pot? I know that's going to trigger you, friend, because you're a racist idiot. But we have lots of different types of cultures and identities. And that is a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. It makes life interesting. Okay? So no one is denying you a culture or an identity. They are saying you are not indigenous. Because you aren't. The Scots, Kev, are a thing. Well, the Scots are a thing, but even then, the Scotii were originally from Ireland. The native peoples of what we now know as Scotland were what was called the Picts, which is not what they would have called themselves. But they were so successfully wiped out by the Romans and the Vikings that ultimately we don't really know what they were called. We don't know what they called themselves or what language they spoke. We just have runes that they left. Lovely carved stones. And that's it. So even the Scots, whilst they've been around as a kind of polity for a lot longer than what you would call English or whatever, they're not like indigenous either. And that's fine. That doesn't mean they're less worthy. It doesn't mean that Scotland doesn't belong to the Scottish people any less. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I personally don't give a fuck really for indigeneity in terms of Britain. I believe in indigenous rights for peoples of like the Americas and Australia and stuff, which have been denied to them for a long time. But that doesn't mean that that other people shouldn't be allowed to live in those places as well. You know? Like, people get too precious about this shit. Beaker people erasure, Kev. Really? Yeah, I am going to erase the Beaker people, because that's not what they would have been called. They're called the Beaker people because we found a beaker. Not Beaker the Muppet, though. No, that guy. That we found a little beaker. And so we called this huge section of probably very diverse peoples of the ancient world the Beaker people. They probably didn't call themselves after their own Tupperware. You know.
Genetic studies confirm that over 90% of English DNA traces back over 1,000 years. We are not a nation of immigrants.
Okay, but 1,000 years isn't actually that long. Right? And some of our DNA goes back that far. True. But not all. And even the people of that you mentioned there, the 80% or whatever, will have mixtures from those other peoples as well. Because delightfully, miscegenation is fucking hot. And so people be fucking. All the time. You're not indigenous. And again, you don't need to be. You don't... I genuinely don't understand why people get so fucking butt blasted about this. You're not indigenous. That is fine. It isn't a bad thing. It's fine. The reason, of course, that the racist wants to say that they're, that they're indigenous is to then say, I own this land, all the brown people need to leave. That's what they want to do. It's not like the indigenous people, First Nations people of other places who are actually oppressed. It's that they want to go, brown people exist, that's white genocide, they all need to leave. Because I am indigenous, because I say so. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. Notice, by the way, he isn't really bringing any facts into this. It's just like, I'm indigenous. He hasn't defined what that means to him. What does the word indigenous mean to you, friend?
We are a nation of heritage and lineage.
Heritage is fine. True. We are a nation of heritage to some extent. That's absolutely fine. That doesn't define indigeneity. The peoples of America, the white peoples of America, have been there for hundreds of years. They've got heritage, but they're not indigenous. Look, if your surname is O'Brien or Lucarelli or fucking Simonson, you're not indigenous to the North American continent. And that's fine.
iDNA haplogroups found in English men today prove our ancestry. R1BU 106, the dominant Anglo-Saxon and Germanic marker.
Whoa! Time out, Homeslice. Are the Anglo-Saxons and Germanic people indigenous? Indigenous to these islands? Don't think they are. I think you'll find Germany is a separate place. Saxony is a separate place. Where the Angles and the Jutes came from is a separate place. People came here. People came here in large numbers from different places and settled and mixed and created culture and heritage. That's true. But what you can't create is indigeneity. Because you aren't.
Common in England but rare in Scotland, Wales and Ireland. I1. A Nordic Germanic marker tied to Anglo-Saxons and Vikings concentrated in eastern and northern England. R1A found in smaller numbers linked to Scandinavian and Indo-European migration.
Indo! He's even adding Indo in there now. I really don't think you can take the peoples descended from Central Asia and the Caucasus and claim they are natives. That they are indigenous peoples to the set of rainy rocks in the North Atlantic, you dopey cunt. Oh, he literally even puts Indo on the fucking screen. The Russo-Chinese people are indigenous to Greenland. Fuck it. Oh, racists are so silly. Oh, God. Fucking hell. Fucking Egypt, man.
Compare that to R1BL21, the dominant Celtic haplogroup found in Scotland, Ireland and Wales, but far less in England. This is genetic proof that the English are not just British Celts who speak English. Mitochondrial DNA confirms the same.
Has literally no one has ever claimed this, have they? Did anyone ever say that this was true? Like, it's mixed in there, to be sure. Yeah. There's loads of Celtic blood in there. Of course. Like, so? Genuinely, why is this fucking claim here? We're slightly different to the Welsh. Therefore, we're just like the Navajo. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Cool story, bro. Fucking nailed it. Hello there, low cartridge. Welcome to the Kevolution.
Our maternal lineage is rooted in populations that have lived here for thousands of years.
Okay, now you're stretching it to thousands of years. Also, friend, what language is this? Would that be early English? Because that's not the English you speak. Are you trying to deny the English people's heritage? Are you trying to deny their identity by using your modern English, bastardised with French words like beef, which is just a bastardisation of birth? You make me sick.
This is not a theory. This is scientific fact. The Anglo-Saxons didn't just...
That book is scientific fact, is it? You reckon? Okay.
...rule England, they became it. Unlike the Romans, they settled and created the very identity of the land. This was a golden...
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did settle. Oh, you're also ignoring the French that came in later, by the way. Like this is the 13th century. So in 400 years... Not what we're talking about. It's just happened. Sorry, the previous fucking slide. Where are we? Hang on. Fuck's sake. Right. So, 700 to 800 AD. So before the Norman invasion... This is before 1066 and all that jazz, right? And the French take over and become the ruling establishment. And yeah, they settled in many cases and stayed here. And again, affected the language. Again, don't make me say birth again. Even though it is funny. Although not as funny as earth for egg. Very silly. So you're not indigenous. Because even if these motherfuckers were indigenous, which, again, I would argue they are not, but even if they are, this is indigenous plus French. So not indigenous.
Like the Romans, they settled and created the very identity of the land. This was a golden age of English strength and learning. Reflecting on this era, Mark...
I don't think you can say the 13th century is a golden age of English learning. Really? You're going to go 13th fucking century for the golden age of English learning? How shit is English learning then?
So yesterday there was...
What is this? Angry racist flipped off Cheddar Man revealed to be black. Oh, that's from years ago, yeah. Yeah, look, we already know this, yeah. The Cheddar Man, the ancient, actually indigenous peoples, were a little bit brown. Which is not massively surprising. Because one egg is an earth. I see what you've done there, Beelzebub. Hoi mate, what was that Hadrian Wall for again? Decoration. Probably just decoration, I reckon. Yeah.
Mark Morris noted, to the Anglo-Saxons themselves, the cities established by the Romans were places of mystery. Wondrous but useless, the haunted relics of a vanished civilization.
Yeah. Yes, they were. It's actually, it's theorised that this is why ancient English lore, lore as in L-O-R-E, so like folklore, contains so many stories of giants. Which it might sound silly, but imagine it this way. Once the Romans left, people forgot how to build big buildings because the Romans did all of that shit. They brought all of their techniques and everything in, and they tried to civilize us, and frankly, it didn't fucking work. And so, over the course of a couple of centuries, we completely lost any of that ability or knowledge, or frankly, will, to build these big fucking massive stone edifices. We had big fucking walls that people didn't know how to construct anymore. You had marble, Doric columned fucking buildings everywhere that had just been abandoned, and no one knew what they were, because again, writing wasn't really that much of a thing at the time. It was much more of a kind of oral tradition and stuff. And people just made up stories, as people will. In lieu of actual information, people make shit up. And so the fact that you have these massive buildings must mean people lived here ages ago who were massive. Because we're small little people, and we can build small little buildings. They must have been massive to build the big massive buildings that we can't build. There's a certain logic to it if you don't know what the fuck it means. If you don't know how these things came to be, you make some shit up. And that's how stories of giants like Tom Thumb and various others come into being. Not Tom Thumb. Who am I thinking of? Oh, I've fucking lost it. Anyway, so yeah, that's the giants happen that way.
Bede the Venerable, one of the greatest historians of his time, documented the rise of the English in his ecclesiastical history of the English people, proving that our story was worth telling.
Everyone's story is worth telling. This is so, like, why are you so fucking, like, down on yourself? A story is worth telling. Every people's, not necessarily every single person, but all of the peoples have a story worth telling. History is a patchwork of these stories, and that's wonderful. The fact that Bede's work survives is a useful example of early history. Good. That's awesome. Again, I don't know why you feel the necessity to be all fucking like a bitch about it. No one's saying that the English is a story not worth saying. That you're just being a victim complex bitch. That's all you're doing here. It's fine. Tell your story. Like, so far, my dude, you've mostly bitched about non-existent claims made about people that you've made false claims about, i.e. the English. You haven't told the English people's story. Now, we're only 2 minutes in, so maybe you'll get to it. But so far, you haven't told the English people's story. And I'd be quite interested to hear what the English people's story is. I'm all ears, mate. Please do fucking get to some actual history at some point.
Alfred the Great, the only English king to be called great, didn't just fight off the Vikings.
Okay.
He hunted them.
Okay, dickhead. I do have to point out the word great. This is how I know this person isn't actually storied in the academic tradition of history. Because if he were, he would know that the word great doesn't mean quite what it means now. And actually the word terrible also doesn't mean quite what it means now. They're essentially not quite synonyms, but much closer when you go back in time. Great meant imposing, large, threatening, potentially violent. It was essentially like a warning that this person could fuck you up, which is in its own way kind of a good thing because you need a king to protect people and blah blah blah, but like doesn't mean great as in good. Whereas again the word terrible, and you mentioned it in chat there, Ivan the Great, yeah, Ivan the Terrible was called Ivan the Terrible for many of the same reasons. Because it's a person who is violent and threatening and commanding. There's a leadership element to this. So there are some good qualities in there, but it's not great as in fucking brilliant, like it means now. How about Ethelred the Unready? Again, that's another example of how the word changes. We think of unready as ill-prepared. Now, it does kind of mean that, but not in the way that you might think. Ethelred the Unready literally means unread, as in not well advised. So, it's not he wasn't prepared because he was, like, lazy. It meant he was badly advised by his advisors, so he wasn't prepared for what came. So it's sort of a criticism of him, yes, but also a criticism of the people around him, his courtiers. Anywho. See, this is interesting English history. Whereas what this dude is doing is just whinging. I'm telling you actual fucking cool shit. This dickhead is just whining. Like, oh, why can't we tell our English history? You've got a chance to tell the English history. Fucking tell us.
Burned their war camps, cut off their supplies, and turned a battered England into an unbreakable kingdom. He rebuilt what they had burned. He taught his people to fight, to learn, and to reclaim what was theirs. That is what it means to be English. And then there's Beowulf, the first great English epic. A tale of blood, honour and destiny.
Again,
a foreign warrior standing in the...
Not written in what we would call English as such. Because trust me, you can try and weed? You can try and read Beowulf. And to the modern...
I don't want to do this anymore!
Scare the shit out of me, you cunts. In the modern translation, Beowulf, let's just go passage. In modern English, it doesn't make a lot of sense, a lot of it. This one's been translated. No. We want the original. The original fucking Old English. Here we go. So this is how it was, like, originally written, right? Oh, this is actually really fucking useful. So, Hoat Wigardina in Jerdagum. So the spear Danes in days gone by. See, that doesn't fucking track in the slightest. That's not remotely similar as a language, is it? You can't just read the Old English and have it make any sense. The occasional word crops up that you can understand, but that's it. So when you go on about telling the English history, you could mention that Beowulf is one of the great ancient texts of the English language, but mention that the English language has evolved, and that's a part of the tradition and heritage and culture of the English people. But you don't, because you're not interested in the English people. You just want to be racist. That's it. Like, there's no point beating around the bush on this one. He just wants to be a racist cunt. He doesn't want to tell you about the history, because that would be interesting and nuanced. And you might learn something. And he doesn't want you to learn anything. He just wants you to be racist as well. Anyway. What was the noise that scared the shit out of me? Hello there, Rachel Atwood. Were you a fan of horrible histories growing up? Not really, no, Rachel. The TV series was far beyond my time. But I was around for the horrible histories books. And I found... I always felt they were sort of talking down to kids in a certain way. Like, I know they were trying to simplify it and to get kids interested in history. And they probably did that, so they were probably very fucking culturally useful. But I just it never chimed with me. I wanted to read actual history, even if I didn't really understand it. Because I was a pretentious little cockhead. And I make no apologies. I haven't fucking changed either.
Cold torchlight flickering on his sword.
But yes, thank you for the donation and scaring me.
Inside the Great Hall, men huddle in fear, whispering of the beast that comes in the night. Grendel.
To be fair, I'm a beast that comes in the night. Hey! Wet dream jokes.
The Invader. A monster that slaughters English warriors as they sleep. Beowulf.
Yeah, well, the TV show was before so after my time, really. Like, when was the Horrible History show? It was. I was probably an adult, I think. Horrible histories show. The TV show from 2009 to 2014. You know, I was at fucking uni when it started. Yeah, it ran in from 2009 to 2014. So way after my time. This is a kids show, right?
That is a stiff dick of poop.
It is. Thank you, Madcat, for gifting a couple of subs to viewers there. Much fucking love to you. Thank you. Yeah, no, the TV show was, it was after. You got to bear in mind, I am disgustingly old, okay? You have to bear that in mind.
Doesn't fight for gold or power. He fights because it is his duty, because a strong man protects his own. The lesson? The English have always fought to defend their homeland.
He wasn't English. Beowulf was of a Germanic tribe. The story is written in Old English, a language you don't speak. So much for tradition, eh? But he's German. Germany didn't exist as a country, but then again, nation states didn't exist as countries. That guy was German. So it's written in a language you don't speak about a people that you're not from. And it's fucking fictional, you dumb cunt. But other than that, yeah, no, definitely, you've got a point.
Land. Between 25% and 47% of modern English DNA comes from Anglo-Saxons. That is not a ruling elite, that is a nation. So when they tell you England has always been a nation of immigrants...
It has. Angles and Saxons were immigrants. Or sons of immigrants. Yeah. It just is, mate. Like, what the fuck do you want from me? What does it say? The abstract. British population history has been shaped by a series of immigrations. Yep, including the early Anglo-Saxon migrations of the 400 CE. It remains an open question how these events affected the genetic composition of the current British population. Here we present whole genome sequences from 10 individuals excavated close to Cambridge in the east of England, ranging from late Iron Age to Middle Anglo-Saxon period. By analysing shared rare variants with hundreds of modern samples from Britain and Europe, we estimate that on average the contemporary East Anglian population derives 38% of its ancestry from Anglo-Saxon migrations. We gain further insight with a new method, recall into the Anglo-Saxon samples are closely related to modern Dutch and Danish populations. What no? While the Iron Age samples share ancestors with multiple Northern European populations, including Britain. So, yeah, we're a nation of migrants. I don't know what to tell you, mate. Also, that man's name is Wolfgang Hack, which is fucking awesome.
They're lying. Cheddar Man was black.
You didn't, my dude. You flashed up a thing there that disproved you. The thing you put on the screen proved that we are a nation of immigrants. Why did you put that on the screen and then say we're not immigrants? That doesn't make sense to me.
The lies they tell about Britain's first people. In 2018, researchers analysed...
Why are you even... Hang on, whoa, dickhead. Why are you even going back to Cheddar Man? Because Cheddar Man existed way before the Anglo-Saxons. You're claiming the Anglo-Saxons are native indigenous peoples to this island, which is fucking wrong. But that's the claim you're making. Why are you going all the way back to Cheddar Man? Because as much as Cheddar Man would be described as indigenous, I think that's probably a fair description. He was there a lot longer ago than the people you are claiming. So why do you even care who these people are? Why do they factor into anything?
analysed the DNA of Cheddar Man, a 10,000-year-old skeleton discovered in Somerset, England. The findings suggested he had dark skin, blue eyes and dark curly hair. But what did the media do? Instead of reporting the facts, the media lied. The BBC, The Guardian, Channel 4, headline after headline declared that the first Britons were black. They weren't mistaken. They deliberately twisted the data.
Hang on. Firstly, as a British person, to say data, you should have your passport taken from you and be flung into the sea. Data? Even posh people say data. Who the fuck says data? The fuck is that? I feel violated. Ugh, grotesque. Anyway, but also, yeah, like it's to say that they're black is an odd thing in a sense because the concept of race not only didn't exist then, but we can't know what the connection between this person and what we would call black now would be, or how exactly dark his skin was. So there's certain truth to that, but to say that he was black isn't totally inaccurate because the suggestion is that he had dark skin. So I mean, it would have been more accurate to say the first Britons had dark skin rather than strictly speaking were black, especially given that racial connotations of that, which I mean, race isn't real, so it doesn't make sense to really do that. But as sensationalized headlines go, it's not the worst. Look, the person had dark skin. And also, I think it's worth a little, ironically, a little white lie, to say that this person was black, just to annoy cunts like you. Honestly, Caltanian Chronicles, I'm going to call you CC. CC, to annoy you, I'm happy for them to lie about the first Britons. Fuck it. Do you know what? I reckon they should say the skeleton was found with dreadlocks, smoking a spliff, listening to a Bob Marley record. Do you know what I mean? Like, just to really fucking annoy you. Turns out the first Britons were actually from Nigeria. Like, just to annoy you. That would be fine. I'm absolutely fine with fucking with journalists lying to annoy you. That's fine.
Pushing the idea that ancient Britain was African. Why? To
We're
rewrite
all
history.
African. No, dickhead. We're all African. Go back far enough. We're literally all African. That's literally true. So it depends how far one wants to go back. Really, you could argue, in a very distant sense, every indigenous person in the world is African. Because that's where humans are from. Like, whether they had dark skin or not, the whitest person who exists on Earth right now. Me, basically. I mean, look at me, fuck's sake. Look at that. I'm almost translucent like a fucking baby fish. It's ridiculous. It's been sunny for the last couple of days and I still can't fucking catch any colour. Anyway, right? The whitest person who has ever existed is African. Because we're all fucking African, you prick. Fuck's sake. Also, yeah, Cheddar Man had pronouns. Zer. Fuck it, it would annoy him to... It's a non-binary African. Was the first ever Briton. Fuck yes.
To undermine the truth. To push the idea that the English have no ancestral claim to their own land. Cheddar Man belonged to a population called Western hunter-gatherers.
See, that's the thing, dear friend, isn't it? That's the thing. That's the problem you have. When you say indigeneity, or, wait, you haven't said that word specifically, but when you say indigenous or native, what you mean is, I want to kick brown people out. Because when you say claim to the land, that is what you mean. You just want to be racist. And you're very dishonest in saying so. Because again, the Western hunter-gatherers there go as far south as northern Greece and Albania. Actually, does that creep into Bulgaria? Does Phantom of Black technically count as indigenous British now? I think that just clips into northern Bulgaria, doesn't it? I think so. So I don't know if they're still here because it's quite late in Bulgaria. But if Phantom of Black is around, we can tell him, you're now an indigenous Brit. Yes. Also, where's Doggerland on that map? That map is ridiculous. We were connected via land to fucking Belgium and France at this point.
WHG, a Mesolithic group that lived across Europe during the Stone Age. They were not sub-Saharan African, nor were they related to...
Well, I mean, they were distantly related to them, but also Bulgaria. Bulgarians are British, apparently. Brilliant.
Any modern African populations. So where do we find Cheddar Man's DNA today? Exclusively in Europeans. His closest modern
So what? So yeah, so some modern Europeans have black heritage. Sacre bleu.
relatives are white Europeans, particularly in Britain and Ireland. Studies have shown that up to 10% of modern British DNA can be traced back to these early hunter-gatherers.
Who were dark-skinned. Say it with me now, friend. Who were dark-skinned. Like, if you want to be all butthurt and be like, they're not technically very closely related to the people of Senegal, go for it, I don't care. You're weird. But either way, your ancestors were a bit dark, my man. And that's fine. That's absolutely fucking fine. Stop being weird about it.
Cheddar Man's Y-DNA haplogroup was I2A, a lineage found almost exclusively in European populations.
Yes, so almost exclusively there were brown people in Europe. Yeah, we know. That's fine. It's only you being weird about it. Here we go, Doggerland. Which unfortunately is not where people fucking car parks. It was a piece of land that connected Britain to the continent. There. So people could just walk over. And then the sea decided to fuck us. And so we had to build a fucking channel tunnel. What a joke.
Populations today. It is especially common among the native peoples of Britain and Ireland, not Africa. His maternal
So what?
haplogroup...
No one said that Cheddar Man was literally from Africa. Like, he was from Europe. He lived his entire life in Europe. Fine. But the claim wasn't that they were African. The claim was that they had dark skin. Which they did. Why have you got to be weird about it, man?
was U5, one of the oldest genetic lineages in Europe, found in Ice Age Europeans and still present in modern European populations. These haplogroups are a direct link between Cheddar Man and modern Europeans, proving that he was part of an ancient European lineage.
Of brown people, yes, we know. Yeah. So when are you whiteoids going to fuck off? Can I just ask, the Cheddar Man was here first. The brown people were here first. When are you honkies going to do one? I'm doing a joke there, Twitch. Don't fucking ban me, for God's sake. When are the white people going to leave? Because the people who have a real claim are not the Anglo-Saxons, these Johnny-come-latelys from 1,000 years ago. Oh, just arrived on a boat, did we, 1,000 years ago? Speaking French and that. Cheddar Man was here ages before then. Thousands of years before then. And he's brown as fuck. He's indigenous. He gets to say, he gets to have a strong borders policy, okay? None of this open borders policy for Angles and Saxons. What we need, honestly, I think we should machine gun the boats full of Jutes and Danes. Trying to set up a Dane law in the northeast of England, are you? No, you don't. Naval patrol vessels. We need to send these people to the non-existent nation of Rwanda, because it didn't exist back then. Doesn't matter. We'll send them all to Rwanda. Or we'll put them on the Bibi Stockholm.
Not an African one. If Cheddar Man had African ancestry, his Y DNA and mtDNA...
Stop the longboats. True. What we need is some dogs who can sniff out spruce pine wood. That's what we need.
It would be found in sub-Saharan Africa today. It isn't. Cheddar Man's dark skin was not sub-Saharan African in origin. It was the result of a specific genetic adaptation common in early European hunter-gatherers.
That they were brown, yes. Yeah, lots of early hunter-gatherers were brown in Europe, yeah. Cool.
His pigmentation was linked to the SLC24A5 and SLC45A2 genes, which regulate melanin production. This variation existed in WHG populations long before sub-Saharan Africans even became genetically distinct.
I don't care. Okay, so he was Indian then. He was Indian. So he wasn't African, he was actually Indian. But that means that my French ancestors were indigenous. No, I think actually the people of Mumbai have a better claim to indigeneity than your ancestors do. Fucking hell. Oh. You're not really proving the point you think you are, mate. You know what I mean? He wasn't African, he was Indian. Therefore I'm indigenous. What?
Farming populations like the Belbeka people replaced the WHG genes for lighter skin spread across Britain. This is why modern Europeans have paler skin than their ancient ancestors, not because of...
Because white people came in and bred them out. It was Cheddar Man genocide is what it was. They started coming in, the whites. First they were all like nicey, and then they started appearing in the fucking Waitrose Christmas adverts, and the John Lewis Christmas adverts, and the fucking the Cayman McCain's fried chips adverts. Then they started putting them in the video games, and all of a sudden Cheddar Man they can't even say racist things. They lock you up nowadays just for saying you're Cheddar Man. You can't even say you're Cheddar Man, it's illegal. It's offensive to the Anglo-Saxons.
Of immigration, but because of natural selection within their own populations. This isn't a mistake. It's a deliberate distortion of history to push a political agenda. By falsely claiming that the first Britons were African, certain groups
Nobody did. Nobody did. Outside of that, everyone is distantly African, which is sort of a joke, I suppose. But it's technically true, but like, who cares? It was a long time ago, right? Nobody said, like in the article you showed, it didn't say he was African. It said he was black, which again, you can argue technically isn't really fair or right, but he was dark-skinned. He was a dark-skinned dude. And that's fine. Like, only weirdos were, like, pissed off about this. Only weirdos like you were really pissed off about this. And frankly, it was like an interesting story, but if it weren't for the fact that it was going to annoy racists, I would never have brought this story up or mentioned it. Because, like, it's a sort of interesting bit of history, and that's it. But the fact that it annoys racists... Oh, yes. Fuck yes. Fuck it. Claim they were from Namibia. Claim all early Britons were from Namibia. Bollocks to it. I don't care. It's going to annoy him. It's going to annoy wankers like this. It's cheddar cheese. Well, I mean, it's because it's from the Cheddar Valley, isn't it? That's the skeleton was found in the Cheddar Valley, so they called him Cheddar Man. So it's not connected to the cheese. Although white people do like cheese. So. That's a cheese and crackers joke, by the way. Again, it's a joke, Twitch.
To undermine the idea of an indigenous English population. If everyone is an immigrant, then no one has a rightful claim to their own land. Push the nation of immigrants myth to justify mass migration.
Here we go. Nobody's pushing anything to promote any such fucking situation. It's capitalists who want cheap labour, you daft bastard. It's got nothing to do with indigeneity. The fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? The wildness of the leap there. He starts talking about haplogroups, and that's all sort of interesting, and then goes, well, naturally that means they're pushing this lie because they want to do mass migration. Where the fuck has that come from? What is that based on?
Deny English identity while other nations are allowed to celebrate their heritage.
There is literally an organisation called English Heritage. There is literally a government organisation called English Heritage. You say, we're not allowed to support our heritage. Please do explain to me the existence of the organisation English Heritage. I'm all ears, mate. It literally exists. It's a government-funded entity celebrating English heritage. They keep castles and ruins and ancient shit like this. Look at that stone carving of a fucking mental old face. Brilliant. Dude in a metal helmet having a time of his life. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Like, you're just doing the Stuart Lee bit. You know, it's illegal now to say you're English. No, it isn't. It's fine. And there's National Trust. There's all sorts of fucking things. There's loads of Aston Hall within Birmingham. You can go to Aston Hall. You can go to what's the Tudor house called? I've totally forgotten what it's called. Oh, fuck's sake! I went there as a kid. Blakesley Hall. You can go to Blakesley Hall. It's fucking awesome. Look at it. Mental old Tudor house. You can go and visit that. It's fucking brilliant. The doorways are like fucking 4.5 feet high. Even as a kid I had to fucking stoop. Because everyone was short back then. Like Bilbo Baggins. There's loads of cool shit. Tell us about these places. Tell us about the cool houses in England. And the fucking cool people and the cool shit they did. Instead, you're just whinging about migration, you fucking bell piece. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I enjoy history. I enjoy English history. I think it's fucking dope. You seem to fucking just want to whinge about it. You had an opportunity here. You've made a nearly 14-minute long video, and you've told us, like, nothing about English history, really. You did some haplogroup stuff, which was vaguely interesting, if any of it was true. I don't trust you for a fucking second. But you had an opportunity here to tell us about English history. And you didn't. Yeah, look at this cool motherfucker. Look at that. That's fucking amazing. Merchant's House in Plymouth. I've never seen this before. That's lovely. Look at that fucking thing. I could spend a day walking around that, touching stuff. You're probably not supposed to touch stuff, but, you know. It's English heritage, and I'm English, so it's allowed. It's not allowed. Anyway, have you got a place called Hoe Park? No way. Yeah, look at that. Hoe Park. There's a place called Hoe Park in Plymouth. Fuck yes. Who wants to go for a trip with us to Hoe Park? See? English heritage. English heritage. Let's go.
But science doesn't lie. The English have a direct, traceable genetic lineage in this land for thousands of years.
So what?
Diversity built England, not the English people themselves.
Diversity built England. It did! Literally, it's called England, as in Angle Land, the land of the Angles. Angles weren't here before. Literally, the name of the place is after some fucking immigrants. What's this? Bloody white people coming over here. They don't even pick up the culture. Growing bloody einkorn wheat instead of our wild plants and animals like normal people. True. You notice when the French went over there, didn't build a single stone circle. The fuck's that about? You're supposed to integrate. Are there any French hinges? No, there fucking aren't. Fucking immigrants.
The lies they tell. When the Anglo-Saxons arrived, they didn't simply take over a thriving nation, they built something new. They formed the first English kingdoms, wrote the...
So, the Anglo-Saxons, who weren't from here, came here and built England. Which is the very thing you claimed didn't happen. You just said immigrants didn't build England, and are now telling us how a series of immigrations built England. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Well done.
First English laws and gave this land its name, England, the land of the Angles.
England! That's just someone saying England when they're drunk. England! I'm from England.
Christianity unified the people.
Tell us about this building. This is what I want to know. Tell me about this fucking building, mate. Because I don't know where the fuck this is. I've never seen this before. It's a ruin of an old, like, abbey type place with there's fucking gravestones and shit. I'm sure there's some dope-ass stories to be told about this place. And yet he's just using it as B-roll. He's just using it as fucking B-roll footage on the screen while he does his racist rants. Tell me about this fucking building. It looks amazing. I love it. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Why? Was there a place there before? Was it built out in the middle of nowhere? Fucking tell me about who are these people that are buried there. Tell me their stories. You're a fucking waster. You're a waste of time. You're a waste of air. I want to know about this fucking place. It's clearly built on like a man-made ramparty fucking thing as well. Look. The circle, it's built on artificially raised land. Tell me about why they did that. And how they did that. I want to know those things. And what you're doing is going, immigrants. This isn't history. This is fucking bitching. This is just bitching.
Bringing education and order. St. Augustine in 597 AD didn't bring diversity, he brought civilization.
He brought immigration, i.e. himself. What are you talking about? The Tamar Bridges. That's also in Plymouth, apparently. Oh, that's cool. I don't know why you've linked that particularly, but I appreciate that. One of Brunel's favourite pieces of work and still in use today. Oh, nice. Please send this video to your former lecturer. Well, technically, my former lecturer is dead. He wasn't young then. Oh, look at that. That's lovely. It's like a pair of eyes above the river. That's fucking beautiful. Look at that. Some motherfucker built a bridge. That's cool. See? I'd much rather look at bridges and tell, you know, fucking... Yeah, from 1860, that's incredibly modern. Look at it. Fuck yes. It's literally a pair of eyes looking both ways down the river. That's fucking glorious. It's like a poetry or some shit. God, that Brunel was good, wasn't he?
Through the church came literacy, governance and structure, giving England a foundation that would last for centuries. And when England was attacked, it was the English who fought for it. Alfred the Great drove back the Viking invasion.
Who else was going to fucking fight for it? Well, you were going to get the fucking... What, the Italians involved? What do you mean? Yeah. The people who were there fought for themselves. Before, like, planes and stuff, that's generally how it went.
Asians, ensuring England remained in English hands. Between 865 878 AD, the Viking Great Heathen Army occupied half of England, but Alfred's military reforms helped secure victory.
Right, so all of these people here, they didn't just leave. All of the people in the Danelaw, they didn't leave. So that's two different types of people right there, who are both sets of immigrants who made modern England. You're not indigenous then, are you? You're not indigenous. Sorry, mate. Get wrecked.
Alfred the Great's success against the Vikings was not just military, it was cultural. He unified the...
Can we see Cornwall? Hang on. There's Cornwall on that map. And then...
against the Vikings was not just military, it was...
There's Cernew. Cernew? It's Cornwall, but like, I don't know how to pronounce that in... I don't speak Cornish. I barely speak fucking English, mate.
It's cultural. He unified the English under one banner, proving that England was already a nation long before later conquests. Henry V's army...
what's that got to... This is not indigeneity. You don't know what that phrase means.
Crushed the French at Agincourt. No foreign army came to save England. The English defended their own.
So?
The Anglo-Saxons built the first distinctly English settlements, raised the first stone churches like St. Peter's in Bradwell-on-Sea.
Cool. Tell me about St. Peter's on the Wall in Bradwell, Essex. Because that's a dope-ass old building. Tell me about it. Don't just say they built it. Tell me a story. Who built it? Why did they build it? Why did they build it where they built it? What changes has it undergone over the many centuries it's been there? Has it had any alternate uses? Was it ever used as a barn? Like, tell me about this shit. What was its role in modern times?
Built in 654 AD by St. Ced on the ruins of the abandoned Roman fort of Athona, using its stone and bricks to raise a new house of worship where Roman legions once stood.
Nice.
Commissioned by King Sigibert the Good to bring Christianity to the East Saxons, it became a beacon of the new faith.
Oh, you mean the Christian faith? Where a Jewish guy from Palestine died for everybody, and then that was exported across the world via the Roman Empire from Italy. But you know, it's very much, it's native, honest. Christianity's super native to Britain. Indigenous. By the way, I'm not having a dig at Christians there. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it's fucking from. Like, it's fine. I don't give a fuck what religion you are. The point being, he's going on about indigeneity and then being like, look at this awesome Christian church. Tell me about the Jewish guy you've got nailed on the wall. Why you're praying to him? Why you're praying to the Palestinian man on your fucking wall, indigenous boy?
In a land still clinging to its pagan past. And when London burned, the flames swallowed the city, one street at a time. The fire leapt from rooftops, the wind feeding it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I fell asleep with a cigarette on and it just, you know, it got out of hand. I did piss on one of the fires though, so that was nice.
Its hunger, the great lead roof of St. Paul's melted like wax, flowing into the streets. Families screamed in the night, their homes reduced to embers. The people cried out for salvation. And then, when the smoke cleared and the ruin was laid bare, who rebuilt it? The English.
Who else was going to fucking build it? The people who were there rebuilt it. What did you think was going to happen? It's not like today where we just get in a load of Polish plumbers. Like, yeah, back in the day, the only people who were going to rebuild it would be the people who were still alive. This is rubbish. You're shit at this, mate.
London was not abandoned, nor did it fall. It rose again. The rebuilding was led...
Took a while, but yeah.
...by Christopher Wren, who reimagined the city with grander, safer structures, wider streets, and a skyline dominated by his masterpiece, St. Paul's Cathedral.
Right, but most of those plans didn't happen. They just built it exactly where it was before. Like, they literally just built all of the old buildings along the same street pattern, which is why London has mental little roads and little nooks and corners. Very interesting, but not very well planned. He did build a fucking badass church, though, I'll give him that.
Where fire had destroyed, English hands rebuilt, not just restoring London, but defining the city we know today. The Magna Carta was written by English barons to protect English rights. It was not a product of diversity, but of a uniquely English struggle for freedom.
Uniquely English struggle for freedom. You know, other people have never thought, maybe we should have freedom. It's never happened. Also, yeah, those barons were French, mate, but, you know, that's... Why have you skipped over old fucking Richard Coeur de Lion? That's a strange choice. He seems like the kind of person that would be right up your alley. Given that, like Beowulf, it wasn't in modern English, was it? Because he didn't speak English. To quote the great epic rap battles of history, I'm just a warrior, I'm not a linguist, but I'm pretty sure the King of England should speak English.
David Carpenter, medieval historian, Magna Carta, 2015. In 2020, the government released the Diversity Built Britain 50p coin, an open attempt to rewrite history.
No. What? It didn't. It's not saying diversity built literally all of every aspect of Britain. It's that it's made a significant contribution to what modern Britain is. It has helped build it. Also, like, mate, it's also got, because you're showing both sides of the coin there, the other side of the coin is the Queen. She's now dead. Lol. Can we get some lols in chat? Because Lizzie isn't just on a coin. She's in a box. That is a symbol, surely, of the great heritage that you seek to claim no one talks about, and that you're banned from talking about. Because she represents a royal lineage that goes back thousands of years. Now, again, not the same family or anything, that's not the point. It's the royal lineage. Different families, different dynasties, etc., etc. So, like, how can you complain that on the one hand it's like, oh, diversity built Britain, and then also on the other hand, it's literally the fucking head of the British Empire? What more do you fucking want? You prick. God almighty, they're so fucking dull, these people. They really are.
The media, the government, and left-wing academics...
You're moaning about a 50p piece, mate.
...continue to push this false narrative, claiming that Britain was always multicultural.
It's never... Oh, fucking hell. Whatever, mate. You're annoying.
Idea that diversity built Britain is historic.
David Starkey. He's literally quoting David Starkey. Brilliant. Brilliant. Because, I mean, it's almost like you thought, Kev doesn't disrespect me enough. I need to do something to show him what a fucking idiot I am. Well done. Well done.
Historically inaccurate. England was built by its own people long before mass migration ever occurred.
Yeah, David Starkey is also a fucking doddering old racist who needs to fuck off. Cool.
David Starkey, historian. Mass immigration to Britain only began in large numbers after 1948 with the Windrush generation.
You've literally made this whole story about the fucking Anglo-Saxons and the fucking Danelaw. Is that not mass migration? Really? Does that not count as mass migration to you? Holy shit.
Not in medieval or Anglo-Saxon times. And now they want you to forget, to believe that your ancestors don't matter.
Who is saying this? Who is saying this?
That your history is a mistake, that your identity...
You were a fucking mistake, mate.
...can be erased, but they are wrong. We are the builders of this nation. This is our land, and we are not going anywhere. The English today are actually Normans. The lie that won't die...
Okay. Kev, you only ever give me compliments. I like it. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's the Morton, but God bless you. And welcome in. But no, you don't need to shout. You don't need to shout. I'm starting a conspiracy theory about why the 10 bob bit has 6 sides. Go for it.
They tell us the English aren't really English. That we're
Yeah, you're French. Fucking birth.
Actually Normans. That the conquest of 1066 replaced the Anglo-Saxon people. And that our identity is nothing more than a footnote of history. But that's a lie. If the Normans had truly replaced...
This is just cope. This is just sad cope. Like, why do you feel it's so necessary to be like, I'm Anglo-Saxon? You've probably got some French in there. You've probably got some Norwegian and Danish in there. You've probably got some Celtic. It's fine. It's literally fine. Why be weird? Why be weird? It's not necessary.
Place the English, then our DNA would show it. But modern genetic studies tell a very different story. The dominant Y-DNA haplogroups in English men today are R1BU106, I1 and R1A, all Germanic markers associated with Anglo-Saxon and Viking ancestry.
Okay, Anglo-Saxon and Viking. Anglo-Saxon and Viking. When you come from two very different places, and those two places come together in a different place and fuck, you don't become indigenous. What you are is an example of immigration and miscegenation. Welcome to the clan. You're a fellow mongrel.
If the Normans had reshaped England's genetic makeup, we would see large traces of Gallo-Roman and Frankish markers. But we don't. The Norman ruling class, largely descended from Viking settlers in France, were
So Viking settlers. Settlers. What does the word settler suggest to you? Indigenous? Native? Or immigrant? Kev, help me please. What part of the UK is forgotten about? I really want a good place to start. Oh God, I have no idea. To be honest. Choose a random little place. Go from there, I guess. Neil suggests one here. Colston Bassett, St Mary, Nottinghamshire. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Definitely in existence since 1135. That's an old-ass church. Love it.
Tiny elite minority. They took land, power and wealth, but they did not replace the English. The genetic continuity between the pre-Norman and modern English population is overwhelming. DNA studies confirmed...
So what? What difference does this make?
...that the English are a blend of the Britons, with a substantial Anglo-Saxon and small amount of Norse influence. The Norman...
Okay, so you're immigrants and mongrels. Cool. So is everybody else. Deal with it.
Contribution almost non-existent. If the Normans had wiped out...
Like, look at this, dickhead. English DNA, 1/3 Anglo-Saxon. Okay, that's substantial. You know what's more substantial, in fact, twice as substantial, would be the 2/3 that isn't. Look at the headline. Please look at the headline and do the mathematics with me now, friend. If 1/3 is Anglo-Saxon, that's 33.33333%, right? That means that 66.6666%, twice as much, is not. Kind of seems like you might be the ethnic minority on this one, champ. Bit mixed race. Bit miscegenated. A bit definitely not fucking indigenous. Get over yourself, you absolute monkfish.
And replace the English, we would expect to see an entirely new population in the records of the time. But when William the Conqueror ordered the Domesday Book in 1086...
The Domesday Book! The Domesday Book! You are such an ignorant slut. You really are, friend. What the fuck are you talking about? Data and the Domesday Book. You'd never heard the Doomsday Book before, had you? You'd never heard that phrase before, had you? You read the phrase, because that is how it's spelt, but it's pronounced Doomsday Book. That's always the way it's been pronounced. The Domesday Book. You'd never heard that phrase before, had you, CC? No, this is not AI. This is definitely a real person. I'm not sure if they're human, but they're definitely like some sort of person. Yeah, you'd never heard the phrase the Doomsday Book before because you are a very, very ignorant person. Ironically, you don't seem to have any interest in English history, ironically. It's pronounced the Doomsday Book. That's just how it's pronounced. Sorry, friend. Also, Birmingham is mentioned in the Doomsday Book. But at the time, we were so small, we had like 8 families that lived here. We've grown a little bit since then, to be fair. But it took a while.
The Great Survey of Land Ownership, something became very clear. The ruling class had changed, but the people had not. The Normans came as tyrants. They burned English villages, slaughtered families who resisted, and imposed foreign rule. But
what do you think the Anglo-Saxons did to the people who were already there? Do you think that the aforementioned Alfred the Great came here and just went, can we come to some sort of trading agreement and then I'll just be your king and that's fine? No, he fucking slaughtered people. The Angles and the Saxons came here and slaughtered people. The Danes and the Norwegians came here and slaughtered people. The Romans came here and slaughtered people. That's just the way things are. I can't believe he's got me defending fucking William le Bâtard. William the Conqueror was a prick, but you've got to be defending him as they were all pricks. Because they were all pricks, obviously. That's how you take over a country, is by being a wanker. No one fucking just meekly submits to that unless they're a part of the current Labour cabinet. Fun fact, Birmingham was once in Staffordshire. True, and it was also in Warwickshire up until 1975. Which is why Warwickshire Cranky Cricket Club is playing Birmingham. Little fact for you. Quote from the Doomsday Book. Birmingham Tenant-in-Chief 1086. William Fitz-Ansculf, a Norman noble who held many lands across the Midlands. Lord of 1086, also William Fitz-Ansculf. There you go. That's Birmingham in a nutshell.
But despite their brutality, they never broke the English spirit. The English endured. And in time, we reclaimed our land, our language, and our identity.
So you don't say the word beef then? No? Because you were speaking quite modern English. You don't speak a lot like Beowulf. So I don't know how much you have reclaimed your language, actually. Just saying.
Before 1066, Anglo-Saxon landowners controlled nearly all of England. After the conquest, William redistributed land to his Norman lords, and within a few decades, over 90% of England's land was in Norman hands. Cool. But the land itself didn't change, and neither did the people working it. The Anglo-Saxon peasantry, artisans and freemen remained. The English did not disappear. They were ruled over, taxed and oppressed, but they...
This is some of the larpiest shit. Like, yeah, that's how conquering works. Yeah, you were oppressed. Cool. Like, what's the point you're making here? Honestly, this is boring. This is actually fucking tedious. Can you go back to not making any points? Because at least that was funny.
They remained the heart of the nation. The very fact that William needed to conduct the Domesday Survey all proves this.
Domesday! The Domesdays! He's done it again. Fucking beautiful.
He was not ruling over a Norman nation. He was ruling over the English. They may have imposed French as the language of the elite, but Old English survived among the people and evolved into...
And evolved with French to become modern English, which is fuck all like the original language. So you didn't reclaim your language. Look at this. Renaissance mixing. Look at this. Friend. Renaissance mixing. Renaissance mixing. French, Latin, Greek and Italian. Empire imports. Hindi, Persian, Arabic, Turkish, Malay, American English. So basically the language we now speak is literally fuck all, like the language they spoke. You're not English to them.
To Middle English, regaining dominance by the 14th century. The aristocracy may have been foreign, but England remained English. Even the monarchy eventually merged back into the native population.
We've got a German monarch now, what are you talking about? The Saxe-Coburg-Gothas are literally the royal fucking dynasty. Now. The Germans, with the fucking Greeks, created the current monarch. What are you talking about? We're nearly done, by the way. Look, it's so close to being finished. I'll probably only interrupt him another dozen times.
At the time of the Wars of the Roses, England was no longer ruled by Normans in any real sense.
I just want to point out the War of the Roses. The Tudor family were Welsh, so even they weren't fucking English. Even the great Henry VIII was a Welshman. Whoopsie doodles.
The ruling families were just as English as the people. The Normans didn't replace the English, they ruled over them for a time. But England was never truly theirs.
Wow, he is a fucking special creature. We will have to revisit with Celtanian, whatever, Chronicles. What an absolute dipshit. Genuinely, he's worse. He's worse than fucking Megatron. Anyway, that was that existed. That thing happened, and now I need to sleep. I've spent my forces. What's this? The Fall of Rome podcast. The Anglo-Saxon migration, the North Sea, and the birth of England. Oh, I'll have to give that a little check out. Thank you, 255. Is he worse than Starscream? Who's Starscream? Should I know that name? I don't think I do. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to fuck off for the evening. Let's see who's available on the YouTubes that I can raid into. Oh, there is literally nobody. Literally nobody. So I'll YouTube, go about your business in peace and harmony, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. Who's going on Twitch? Raid me, Kev. Oh yeah, Mad Cat's going. Okay, cool. I'll raid into Mad Cat then. Go and say hello to Mad Cat Scotty I, who is cool. Who is cool beans. There you are. Right, and I'll see you tomorrow, because it isn't quite midnight. I'll see you tomorrow with possibly... no, it's... Oh, God. It's Saturday tomorrow, isn't it? I might see you tomorrow. I don't know. Depending on football/drinkage. If not, Sunday. Okay? Thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you so much for all of your support. I'll see you later. Free Palestine and no pass around.